my name is Mark, and this is Girl Talk. Come on, ladies. Let's talk about girls and what they do. Welcome to Fox Valley Afternoons. Hey, if I was an expert on girls, I'd really have it going on. I'm Marky B, and this is, let's call it the second shift, the beginning of Fox Valley Afternoons today. Here at WRMN AM 1410 and WRMN Radio on YouTube. We just activated the YouTube feed, so we are underway. And let me explain myself. Why am I here? Well, Fridays, we kind of have a little gap in our schedule. We're going to figure things out eventually, but it's kind of like a day to have specialty programming between 2 and 4, at least for now. And that's what we're doing today. My name is Mark, and I'm on the first shift, if you're not aware. I'm on the air from 6 until 10 each day. And on the first shift, we cover a lot of local issues. We talk to you. We have our first shift staff meeting every day, and we try to make sure you know about events going on in the area and much, much more. Great guests every week on the first shift. This is normally Talk Time with Tammy and friends. And Tammy's done a great job so far. I believe she's been on board now in this role for about a month. And she gets great participation and help every day from Mary and Nancy and Becky. Becky's on a little vacation now. You can only work about 2-3 weeks at a time, then you need a vacation. This is just girl talk, by the way. But so Becky's on vacation, but Tammy's not able to make it on a lot of Fridays, so she's pretty much just a Monday through Thursday girl leading the way on this show. And so Fridays is a Friday Fox Valley Afternoons, a little bit different. Today, in Tammy's absence, we have built a pretty nice show, I think, with lots of guests. So let me tell you about that. You're at 2:09 on this beautiful day here on WRMN. Coming up on the show today, we have, in this hour, Mike Tuman. Mike's going to be on a brand new show that he will host starting tomorrow in the noon hour. Bill Pellerinos has been holding down the fort for the last few months in that noon hour, and Bill will be back next spring. It's kind of a rotating noon hour kind of deal. Starting tomorrow, Mike will take over the noon hour, and we'll get the official name of the show and what he is planning on doing when he joins me here on the air in about 5 minutes. So we'll learn from Mike about his new program, which begins tomorrow at noon, after our morning sports coverage from the Fox Valley Sports Network. 2 great shows airing between 8 and noon tomorrow morning. So listen into our new Saturday morning lineup. It culminates with Mike taking you through a non-sports show at noon. And then Rich on Tech takes over in the 1 o'clock hour every Saturday with the great show that he puts together for you. All right, so that's happening at 2:15. And then after our 2:30 bottom of the hour news break, we will be joined, I believe, by Elisa Lara. You might know that name. Elisa's pretty familiar to you if you are an Elginite. She's a trustee for the Gale Borden Library, I believe, and she does many things. She's involved with a festival that's going on this weekend called La Fiesta de Elgin. It starts in about an hour. Elise is going to give us a preview, and she will be on the air right after the bottom of the hour news break at 2:30. It's at Festival Park at 132 South Grove Avenue, and it starts in the 3 o'clock hour today, along with the downtown market. So a busy day going to happen here in downtown Elgin today and tomorrow, because tomorrow is day 2 of the Mexican Independence Day celebration called La Fiesta de Elgin. 3 until 8 today, 5 until 10 tomorrow. And so Elisa's going to give us more details on what to expect. It should be very festive and fun here in Elgin, Illinois in the next 28 to 30 hours, I would say. Actually, more than that. Let's say 32 hours. Will take us to 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So we'll get a lowdown from Elisa. That comes up at about 2:30. Then I'm going to take a break at about 2:45 and turn the reins over to Sonar. He will take you through the rest of the afternoon along with Ben Demoni and Boquist. He also will have a number of guests on his show as a part of Fox Valley Afternoons today. Coming up at about 2:45, after I take that break, Beith Drendel will be in. Beth is with Kane County Emergency Management. She spoke at America's First Responders Fest last Saturday. And she made me aware of the fact that this is National Preparedness Month. What does that mean? We're going to find out. Well, we got to get prepared. Prepared for the fall, prepared for the winter, prepared for all severe weather that might come our way. We'll let Beth explain. Beth's going to be on with Sonar. And at first, between 2:45-ish and 3, she will talk about a Kane County Emergency Management Touch a Truck event that they're going to have tomorrow. And then after our 3 o'clock, top of the hour news break, Beth will rejoin Sonar for a WRMN special show, a whole hour on National Emergency Preparedness. And I believe she's bringing in a weather radio to give away. So I guess Beth and Sonar can figure out how they want to do that. Maybe a severe weather question? I don't know, a severe weather trivia question? They can do that, and sometime late in the 3 o'clock hour, I think they're going to have a giveaway of a weather radio, thanks to Beith Drendel with Kane County Emergency Management. All right, so that's going to happen in the 3 o'clock hour. If you miss it today, you can catch it tomorrow morning. We kind of have an open slot in the 7 o'clock hour right now. Las Mananitas is at least taking a break from the station. And tomorrow morning in the 7 o'clock hour, we will also have what you're going to hear today in the 3 o'clock hour. So take some notes and join us tomorrow morning for a 1 hour special on National Preparedness, what it means and what you should do, with Beith Drendel and with Sonar tomorrow morning at 7, but live today at 3. All right, so let me just finish this lineup real quick, and then we're going to get into our first guest of the day. Coming up after Beth in the 4 o'clock hour, it's the second half of Fox Valley Afternoons, a political talk show. I think Sonar is going to talk to a psychic or something of that nature at the beginning of the show. Are they going to talk psychic politics? That I can't tell you. You'll have to listen and find out. That'll be in the first half of the show in the 4 o'clock hour. And then somewhere along the line in the 4 o'clock hour, they are going to talk more about local politics with Drew Sosnowski, the Kane County State's Attorney candidate. He is running against Jamie Mosser in the upcoming election on November the 5th. Drew will be on with Sonar today as soon as Drew can get here, probably about 4:45, all the way to the end of the show. It's Free Speech Fridays today. And so Drew will be on with Sonar. Drew's a very talkative and smart guy. Should be a great conversation all the way until 6 today. So a very busy edition of Fox Valley Afternoons today. It is 2:15 here at WRMN. And we have Kimmy D checking in. We are on YouTube at WRMN Radio on YouTube. And I just want to pass this along very quickly, since Kim mentioned it on YouTube, and that it's our very loyal station friend, one of many, Kathy Edwards. I called her Crazy Kathy in the morning. Probably my most dedicated, loyal, true fan and listener every day for a number of years now. Has apparently passed away in her sleep in the middle of the night, leading into today. We'll have more information on that, and certainly do some tributes and say some more about our friend Kathy Edwards, lovingly referred to as Crazy Kathy, certified clairvoyant Kathy, who was always up here at the radio station, always listening to the radio station, and passed away in her sleep early this morning. Her daughter, Becky Boondocks, called me after the show this morning to let me know. More on that coming up on Monday, but it's very sad for the station to hear of this. She was a very, very nice lady, a very loyal lady with a very, very good heart. All right, 2:16 here at WRMN. Let's go to the phones now, and we're going to be joined now by our first guest of the day. He called during Fridays with the Finest this morning for a brief introduction of himself. I said, hey, Mike, call back during the 2 o'clock hour because we can talk for a little bit longer about your show. It's Mike Tuman. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Mike, are you there? Hello, Michael, are you there?
How you doing, Mark?
Hey, I'm fine.
I'm doing great.
We're on the air now. Yeah, thanks for calling today.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you talk, first of all, about...
Sure.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think I got a little bit of delay because I'm listening to you on the... I was listening over the internet.
Okay.
I'm out here in Chicago near O'Hare, and O'Hare does a lot of interference with the AM channels.
Right. Well, maybe if you can probably just hear me if you're talking on the phone, and that way you can hear me.
Fine on the phone.
Okay. Yeah. So that'll be real time then. So, well, you'll be on the air tomorrow at noon, and every Saturday from noon until 1, and it's a brand new program for us. But I guess it's a program that you've been doing for a while, right? You want to tell us a little bit about the show, the name, and what it's going to involve?
Okay, so the name of the show is the Chief Guard of the Republic. And that has a little bit to do with my background as a chief warrant officer in the National Guard and a Chicago police detective. And I was also in the Army Reserve.
Okay.
And I see my show as being a call-in show and answering questions for people. Mostly, I would like to answer questions on kids that are interested in joining the service. I'm not a recruiter, and therefore I don't have the same skin that a recruiter would have in the game, and I could answer questions a little more freely. I think that's important for people to know. I mean, when I was a kid, I ended up joining the Army as a truck driver, and I had a very high, what they call the Armed Forces Vocational Aptitude Battery, the ASVAB, Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. And I had a very high score. I got almost any training that I wanted, but I went in as a truck driver because that's what the recruiter needed.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, we look forward to having you on the station. So, Chief Guard of the Republic is the name of the show, and you're going to be on every Saturday from noon until 1. Have you done this show on other radio stations before, or is this something new?
I have not done the show on other radio stations. I was on with I was on for an hour with Bill Pilarenos.
Yeah, right.
He did the Four Corners Radio.
Yes, sir.
So I met him at a veterans group, the Dunkin' Donuts veterans over in Niles, and he was looking to do a pause on his show for the winter months, and I says, well, okay, I could take it over for you because I'm interested in doing that, and the only time I was live on the radio, and it wasn't really me, I was just writing the scripts and giving it to my translator, was over in Bosnia during the Birchko Bridge riots.
Wow.
We were broadcasting on 2,000 watts of radio mirror.
Yeah.
And we call counter riot messages. Yeah. And other than most of my broadcasting experience has just been, that.
Yeah.
Of course, the FM radio with the Army.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be actually coming into the studio every Saturday right here in the studio, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do it in the studio. But Bill said that, if weather's bad or anything else or things happen, that I should do a couple pre-recorded shows and give them to Matt to have on hand in case I can't make it.
Right. Well, we welcome you to the station. It's Mike Tuman and Chief Guard of the Republic every Saturday from noon until 1 here at WRMN. Did you say earlier this morning when you called Anna Lally, the police chief, that you were a former chief yourself? Is that right?
No, chief warrant officer.
Oh, gotcha.
In the Army. That's it's a little difficult to explain in a couple minutes, but what you are is you're the technical expert in the field. You have enlisted to do a lot of work, the NCOs, the backbone of the Army, and the officers who are our managers and administrators. But you get some fields where you really need a technical expertise that requires more skills than an NCO and you don't have the responsibilities of a commissioned officer in command.
Okay.
I was a detective for Chicago.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, so I did 27 years as a detective on the Chicago Police Department.
Okay. So you said
mostly child abuse cases and domestic violence.
Wow. And I think that October is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I know that Chief Anna is going to have some of her domestic violence workers come in from the Elgin Police Department to talk about it in the month of October. And I imagine with some expertise as far as being a detective when it comes to that, that could be some information that you share and some topics that you talk about on your show in October, right?
Yes. Any topic is open so long as it's, a polite topic.
Right.
I don't want to be a shock jock or anything, to go out there and just be aggressive with people. I respect other people's opinions, on both spectrums. Yeah.
So it's going to be you drawing on your experience as a law enforcement officer and a detective. That are those some of the topics that you're going to cover on your show then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, what else do you want to say?
Have some of my readers call in because I wrote a bunch of novels.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. After I got out of the Army and retired from the Army after 38 years, didn't have any deployments anymore to worry about, and done with the police department. I had a lot of ideas bouncing around in my head, and I decided, well, let me try my hand at writing. So I wrote a couple novels. It was fun to do. It was a good hobby. I did my own proofreading, and I self-published on Amazon, the Kindle self-publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do a lot of advertisement for them. I mean, they're out there in the word of mouth, and I put some stuff on social media, but I'm not looking to get rich. I'm just happy when someone reads my book and says they liked it. I'm like, wow, that means a lot to me.
Sure. What are your novels about?
I did some police novels.
Okay.
I did some military novels. The last military novel I did I called it Under Platoon. And it was because, Ghost Platoon was too cliche.
Yeah.
But Under Platoon, it's about a platoon of soldiers over in Afghanistan and like their last deployment. And the main character is just based on the most average soldier that I've ever known in the Army. Most guys are like center of mass. They're average guys. But then there's other guys that are iconoclastic. You always have the muscle guy, you have the doc, you have the smart guy, you have the joker. So I made up a platoon of those guys, and they kind of lead this young average soldier out of danger in Afghanistan.
Okay.
And I did 3 tours in Afghanistan, so I know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thank you for your service on that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. It's 2:25 here at WRMN. Mike Tuman joining us for a couple more minutes until the bottom of the hour break. We have a phone call, Mike. I don't know if this is related to you being on the air with me or not, but we'll find out here in just a second if you don't mind taking a call.
I don't mind.
Okay, let's see what we have here at 847-931-1410. Looks like it might be Patrick. Good afternoon, Patrick.
Hey, good afternoon. It's not really related to that. It's related to yesterday. Dennis, I think his name is Dennis, was talking about the American flag.
Uh-huh.
I have a question about the American flag. Actually, 2 questions. The first one is going to be, why would somebody hang the flag upside down for a long period of time?
Okay, I can answer that.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
If a long time ago, they didn't have a lot of radio or anything, and they would, in order to communicate that the post was in distress, it could be a really outlying post or base, they would fly the flag upside down. So if someone could see that flag and they see that it's upside down, they know there's trouble on that base or that fort, that they're in danger. So it's a sign of distress. It's a communication that the person flying that flag is under some sort of distress. Why they would do it for long periods of time, they're making I don't know what sort of statement they would make, but they're making a statement. But legitimately flying the flag upside down is showing that the post or the unit is in distress and needs help.
Anything else for you, Patrick? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was pretty good because somebody in my neighborhood, they've had it upside down for quite a while, and I never really asked them. I just respect their privacy. But, yeah, now I understand a little bit. And one more question about the flag. I myself have paid almost $500 for a sticker decal to go on the hood of my Lincoln. I got an MKT. Is that disrespectful? I kind of got from Dennis that was disrespectful. Do I have to take it off?
I don't think you have to take it off, but do you have any thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, there's like a law. There's a law on the books that's never enforced. Some people find that when you make clothing items that look like the flag, that's disrespectful. That when you take something and you put it on the flag where it shouldn't be, like some people put stuff in where the stars would be, that's disrespectful. You're not supposed to add to or take away from the stars and stripes with the 50 stars. Now, in that note, though, any official flag, like the 48-star flag, before we had Hawaii and Alaska, if you fly that, that's still an official flag. But if someone flies a 52-star flag, that's not an official flag.
Yeah. All right, Patrick. Well, we got to hit the bottom of the hour break here, but we appreciate you calling.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Listen in tomorrow for more with Mike. He's on from noon to 1, so we have about a minute, Mike. You want to give any last thoughts on what to expect on your first show tomorrow?
I don't even know what to expect.
Oh, good.
I'm going to come out and talk, and I hope people call in and ask me questions. I'm going to try to have, in the future, I'm going to try to find some, depending on what the people want to hear, I'm going to answer their call, and I'm going to try to get people in to co-host the show with me so they can answer questions that I'm not quite the expert on.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty wide open tomorrow then, I guess, huh?
I hope so.
I hear you. Well, thank you, man. We look forward to having you on the air, and we listen in to Mike and his show, Chief Guard of the Republic, starting tomorrow at noon, live from right here at Studio 14, after the morning sports shows that we have here on WRMN. So we look forward to having you on board, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right, take care.
God bless.
You too. Let's see. Mike Tuman in the house tomorrow, live at noon. In the house live right now is Elisa Lara, and she's going to join me in just a couple of minutes after we take this bottom of the hour news break. We'll talk about what's going on starting in about 30 minutes down the street at Festival Park in downtown Elgin. It's going to be very festive for the next 32 hours or so. That's all coming up here on Fox Valley Afternoons on this Friday afternoon right here on WRMN. Stick around.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set to honor the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade, starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. and Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set down in the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade, starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. and Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome back to Talk Time with Tammy and Friends. I'm Tammy. And it's a Friday. Actually, I'm Mark. I was hoping Elisa might laugh.
I'm like, is he doing some kind of part of his show?
Listening to what I was saying.
Okay, Tammy.
Well, I feel kind of weird coming back to this song, Girl Talk. But I guess we have a little girl talk going on right now because Elisa Lara is here with us. She was with Las Mananitas, a show you heard for a while here on WRMN.
Las Mañanitas, yes.
Yes, and who we hope to have.
Duo.
Pardon me?
It was in duo. I was with Rafa and myself, so it was a duo.
Right. Team. Yeah, we loved having you on, and maybe we can make it happen again at some point in the future.
Absolutely, we loved it. We had a great time, and we had a great amount of people supporting us.
One thing we never really got started between me and you was some sort of like translation of the week or something.
Yes, I'm working on him little by little. Está hablando español. He's going to be speaking Spanish soon.
But you asked me how was I doing or something.
¿Cómo estás?
And I didn't know how to answer that.
But you just learned. What did you just learn?
Bien?
Yes, he's learning good. We can do this.
That means good?
Sí, muy bien, good, bien. Muy bien is very good.
Very good, right.
Muy is very good. Bien.
Gotcha.
So you got that. Muy bien.
Okay.
He's going to be a pro soon. So everybody speak to him in Spanish only.
It's going to take a while. I hope we have some time.
I have faith in you.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
Well, you're going to stick around the station for a while because I have a lot to learn. But
absolutely.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. It's so nice to be back here.
It's I remembered to call you today because I remember walking through this room when you were taping Las Mananitas one day, and you were talking to Sonar about the event that was coming up this weekend.
Absolutely. So I'm glad you remembered.
She must be the expert. So you are the expert.
I'm not the expert, but I do know. what's going on.
Well, and you're gonna be an MC tonight.
Yes,
is that right?
I am going to be the MC for this wonderful event. It's actually a 2-day event, and today is my day. I get to be having the honor to MC it. So.
I didn't know you had MC skills in you.
I didn't either. And you know what? I was actually also the MC for the parade.
That's why I was going to say that. Yeah.
It's just I don't know how that happens, but I'm excited to do so. So.
You don't mind talking, I guess.
Oh, I talk a lot, so that's probably what it helps.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So. It actually starts, the downtown market, I can't lose the word farmers, even though that's not.
I know, you just feel like you have to, right?
Yeah. Downtown market starts in about 25 minutes.
Yes.
It's 3 to 8, and it's every Friday for a little while longer. And so that's happening, but it's happening kind of in conjunction with what you've got going on with La Fiesta de Elgin. Do you say Elgin the same way?
Sí, la Fiesta de Elgin.
Okay. La Fiesta de Elgin. So you want to talk us about a little bit what's going to be happening today first?
Yes, I'm super excited because this event is going to be a 2-day event. And today is more the cultural side. And we start with the market, and we have like in Spanish we say artesanías, like little arts and crafts and jewelry and everything that's we sell. Like, so you have, like, when you go to Mexico, they have the little puestecitos, the little markets where they sell different cultural things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really nice because we are partnering up with the market, so we have people who want to buy things, and it's really cute. You know, you'll have that, like jewelry, little things there. So it'll start there, and then we also have mariachis. So mariachis will be there, and they'll be there around 4 o'clock.
Okay.
The idea is for everybody to follow the mariachis, walk over to the Civic Plaza, which is behind City Hall, in between Hemmons and City Hall.
The little
that
concrete area that I always wonder what we're going to do over there.
It's a nice area. It's like a really nice garden. It's a place that we can kind of mingle, gather.
So that's what we're going to do with that area over there.
I like it. We need, Elgin needs that, you know. And I think we have a wonderful, beautiful downtown, and that just adds a little bit more.
So the mariachis are going to...
Those mariachis will come walking with their music, and hopefully people follow them through and get to the Civic Plaza so we can start our celebration.
How are they going to get there? Are they going to go down this street or the street behind us?
I believe it's behind us, but I'm not 100% sure. Depends how much they want to play. They want to go the long way or the short way.
Yeah.
I'm thinking through the back, though.
So that's going to be going on until about 8 o'clock tonight, until about dark?
So the mariachis will arrive at 4, walk over, and we'll start our program around 5:30. So... hopefully we'll have everybody there. I do want to let you know there is a statue. If you've not walked by the Festival Park, I really need to have everybody know and go there. In Mexico City, we have this huge statue. We call it El Ángel de la Independencia, and it's humongous. Well, here we have an image of it, and it's like 20 feet tall. So it's really, you can't miss it. So when you walk in Festival Park, you see it, and that's like our icon in Mexico City. So to have that, Elgin brought that here. We'll have it for a little bit. But it's just a wonderful thing to have, and I think it's a wonderful statue that represents, our celebration and from Mexico City. So it's exciting. I'm super excited.
It's 20 feet tall?
It is.
So it's going to be sitting there.
It'll be there for a while, for a couple.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you have to see it when you go running.
Oh, well.
Or go run around it.
Yeah. Okay. So what's going on? What are you emceeing then? What's going on over there?
So the celebration is a cultural. So we will definitely have the veterans will be there with honoring the flag. We'll have dances where we have different dances. We're going to have music. We're going to have some singers. We will have Zumba. And if anybody wants to learn how to dance, we're going to have Latino dancing where we teach people how to dance. So maybe you want to break some moves and start getting a little Latino vibe.
Sure. I should. I really should.
I say you all come in and join us. It will be actually something really nice. We have some really wonderful singers. We have Citlali, who is like a mariachi singer, and she does really good, very young and very talented. We also have Jose Diaz, and then we also have another guest that's also going to be singing. So we have several people singing. We have music. We'll definitely have all kinds of food. Well, the food, it's more about getting celebration and singing and dancing. So it's going to be a nice celebration. The mariachis kind of always add a beautiful touch to our celebrations.
Are you going to be dancing?
Of course. Every time I hear music, even if I'm not supposed to be dancing, I start shaking.
You can dance and be the MC at the same time?
Yeah, I think I can multitask. Yeah. That's one thing I can handle.
So that's going on until 8 o'clock tonight. It's like the kickoff. Because in the past, how many times have we done this now? This is about the third or...
Yeah, so last year we did all this in one day. And it was a huge celebration, a huge turnout. But it was so well received that we had to split it in two.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the second celebration. And tomorrow it starts at 10 o'clock, the lineup, we have a parade of cars.
And that starts at the old Sherman Hospital, right?
The old Sherman Hospital. And this is, I believe, is the 5th year that they've done it, but it's grown so much where now the police is involved to make sure it's safe, because there's so many cars that have joined it. So now we're making it more official. They line up by the old Sherman. There's a lineup at 10 o'clock. I think they're actually going to be leaving around 11, and they'll end at the post office around, after that starts at 11. So who knows how long it'll take them.
Post office?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's going to be like the end portion, so I'm thinking around that parking lot downtown by City Hall. So, and then after that, the celebration starts at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
There's food trucks.
Yes.
So there's going to be music, there's going to be groups, there's going to be DJs, there's going to be a lot of, I'm sure they have drinks, and the food trucks, you can't miss on the delicious food.
And I'm thinking it's not going to be hamburgers and hot dogs, not tomorrow.
Oh, estamos Latinos, es tacos, of course, kind of enchiladas and tostadas y bebidas.
So several different food trucks that all feature Hispanic food.
Yes, and it's nice because they've done such a great job. They did a variety of people, like we'll have Sammy's restaurant. There's going to be different restaurants from around here and outside from here. So they'll bring people from different areas. So it's not just the local restaurants that we've had here. So it's going to be a variety. It'll be a variety of different foods. So in case you feel like a tostada from one place and you want something else from somewhere else. And it's a Latino combination. So it's not just tacos, and there'll be different things. There's different nationalities. So it's nice because you kind of get a Latino combination because there's so many varieties. There's Venezuelans, there's, Cubans, there's all kinds of Puerto Rican, and it's so food, so yummy. I just talk about food, my mouth starts to water, so I need to calm down. I'm hungry.
I hear you. So that's from 5 to 10 tomorrow night. Food trucks and some
that's a festival park.
Festival park. Some different bands for 5 hours. Is that right?
Yes, they're different bands that will be playing.
And then fireworks at the end of the night.
Yes, at 9:30. Get ready to enjoy those fireworks. So we finish out with a nice ending. Fireworks, you can't go wrong with that. So today we start with mariachis and we close with the fireworks.
That's cool.
The best combination. Then we have beautiful weather. Yeah. So you're going to have dancing, music, food, and beautiful weather, beautiful company. So it's going to be a wonderful celebration.
I think that if in all of I don't know the ethnic backgrounds breakdown of all the different villages and cities around here, but I've got to believe that for celebrating Mexican Independence Day, that Elgin, Illinois has got to be the place you should come to celebrate Mexican Independence Day. We're 50%, right?
Yes, 52 about. Yes, we're growing. We do really great.
So if you want to really get the true feeling of what celebrating Mexican Independence Day is all about, Elgin would be the place you should probably come.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's a wonderful place to be.
Okay. Well, thank you for stopping in today. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
I just really want everybody to come and enjoy a wonderful afternoon because I think it's going to be great for today and tomorrow. It's a whole weekend full of fun, dancing, and embracing our cultures. There's so many different cultures that we definitely need to show off the different costumbres, like traditions that we have.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the live music tomorrow night. Let's see. DJ Eddie P. Banda Panasco de Zacatecas,
you're doing good.
Okay.
See, I'm telling you, you're doing. I believe you're going to be speaking Spanish fluently soon.
I think it'd be cool if I could. Let's see, Los Cementales de Nuevo León.
De Nuevo León, sí.
Okay. La Potencia de la Música.
La Potencia de la Música, sí, vas bien. Doing good. Norteño.
Oh, I can't. It's not that I couldn't pronounce it. I couldn't see it. Norteña and Banda La Sinaloense.
Sinaloense. Muy bien.
Oh, pretty close.
Sí, so es que banda. Banda is like a little...
What did I just say? All the bands?
Sinaloense. Yeah, you're naming the bands.
Oh, okay. And so go to Elgin.
That was really good reading.
I didn't know what I was reading, but elginil.gov/2525 /La Fiesta de Elgin. Just go to elginil.gov and surf around a little bit. I'm sure you can find out more information about it.
Absolutely. We'll see everybody there.
So thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
See you soon.
Okay.
Elisa, Lara, and the big festival coming up tonight and tomorrow here in downtown Elgin. Sonar is going to take over in a couple of minutes. We're going to shift gears. We're going to talk about a Touch-a-Truck event going on in Kane County tomorrow, and then the focus is going to be on National Preparedness Month. As Fox Valley Afternoons continues, Beith Drendel will be Sonar's guest. It's a busy day. It'll end with Kane County State's Attorney candidate Andrew Sosnowski later on this afternoon. So keep it here for lots of variety right here on WRMN.
If you are 50 years and older, you are welcome to join Elgin State Bank's sponsored movie days at Elgin Marcus Theater. It will always be on the second Thursday of each month. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. At 9 a.m., you will hear a very brief message from Sherry Aschenbrenner about upcoming senior events, and movies will begin at approximately 9:30 a.m. Coffee and a donut is complimentary. You can always call the movie theater hotline number of 847-888-7976 to find out what movies are playing each month. The cost is $3 if you are a member of Elgin State Bank, meaning you have an account there, and $5 if you are a non-member. And for more senior information, catch Sherry's Senior Showcase on the third Tuesday of every month at 9:15 a.m. right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Hey there, this is Marky B from The First Shift, inviting you to join Brian Anderson for his new radio show, Kane County Speaks, every Thursday from 9 until 10 a.m. during the final hour of my morning show. It's an election year, and Brian will discuss important local issues and interview local candidates from the perspective of Kane County Speaks. The show will feature open phone lines for your thoughts, comments, and questions, and the chat room will be open at WRMN Radio on YouTube. Kane County Speaks is citizen-driven and focused on making Kane County a better place to live and work with goals of freedom, security, and prosperity for all. To learn more about their grassroots organization, you can check them out at KaneCountySpeaks.com. Let's discuss the issues of Kane County so that you can get involved and make a difference too. It's Kane County Speaks every Thursday morning with Brian Anderson from 9 until 10 a.m. during the first shift right here on WRMN, AM 1410, and at WRMN Radio on YouTube.
Now, who are the people in your neighborhood? In your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, say, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet each day.
Welcome back to WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. We are filling in for the Friday afternoons. Of course, that is Fox Valley afternoons every single day. Go ahead and hop in and join the conversation on YouTube. YouTube.com/@WRMN Radio. Beith Drendel joins us, preparedness specialist, to talk about this Saturday's Touch a Truck preparedness at the Judicial Center here in St. Charles in the Fox River Valley. That starts at 10, goes all the way to 2, but I'm sure we might even have a question mark in there as well. Thank you very much, Beith, for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have preparedness throughout the year, but this is Preparedness Month, and to celebrate that, you're having a Touch a Truck.
Yes, we are. So we decided to put together at Kane County Emergency Management a Touch a Truck and a preparedness event and we're only having there our emergency vehicles, but we've invited St. Charles Emergency Management, Batavia Emergency Management, Geneva Emergency Management, and Elburn CERT team, which is a community emergency response team, to come and bring their vehicles and talk about what we do in emergency management.
What kind of vehicles are you going to be able to touch and interact with?
We're going to bring out our big command post. I know that's a big thing for kids when I teach classes, that for some reason that seems to be their favorite vehicle to go through. We'll have our Humvee out there, some of our trucks, and I'm not sure what the other agencies are bringing, but that'll be along the same lines as what those are.
That's really great because we've talked about this before in other conversations on the station about exposure to the emergency before it is an emergency. So how scary is it that a fireman kicks in a door and it's all dressed up in garb, or all the flashing lights and everything else? It's a high stimulating event, to the point where if you weren't exposed to any of these lights or what a fireman even looks like in real life, that as a child you wouldn't recognize the helpers. How important is it that these touch-a-trucks are for children just to interact with?
I think it's important just for those reasons that you just said. We are a little bit different from the police and fire when we arrive. We don't tend to arrive with sirens, but we do have all the blinky lights like police and fire. And we are there during disasters. And I think it's important that they see those things so that when we do show up, they're less afraid of us being there.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of events are you having there other than Touch a Truck? What is there, like maybe a Narcan class, or is it more of a family preparedness?
It's a family preparedness. So we're going to, every agency that's coming out is going to bring some information on how to be better prepared for emergencies and disasters and talk to people and answer questions about that. But we're also having a recruitment for each of the agencies event while we're out there. A lot of us depend on volunteers to help. For Kane County Emergency Management, we have 5 full-time employees and 1 half-time employee. But we have 54 volunteers.
Wow.
And we need those volunteers if there was a major disaster, especially around here, because the five and a half of us could not do that by ourselves. So we're going to do some recruitment. So I'd like to share some of the things we're recruiting for this year.
Absolutely.
Since not all of you are going to get out there. So this year we are going to be recruiting for 2 different categories. So we're looking for volunteers for our communication division in our EOC. Those people would report to the EOC when there's a bad storm and we have to open up the EOC. And at that time, they kind of monitor radar on weather. They help the teams that are out there doing storm spotting by, telling them what locations to go in and gathering the information that they get from those weather spotters out there. So we're looking for people to do that kind of stuff. And I think in a disaster, we would also use them in the radio part of our EOC to help monitor what everybody else is doing out there also. So, and then we're also looking for people that just want to be in the Emergency Operations Center. We call it an EOC, which would, the areas that we're looking for people in is planning and logistics, resource tracking, coordinating damage assessment. So damage assessment is when we have a really bad storm. We need to go out and assess what the damage is. And we do that in a couple different ways. The first way is a windshield, where we just drive through so we know where the major areas are that need response. And then we go back and we look at the damage of houses. We need all of that information to help with maybe possibly getting reimbursed and people getting help during those disasters. And then we need assistance, people to help with coordinating our emergency shelters. So if you're interested in doing any of that, and if you're qualified to do any of that, you can contact us at Kane County EOC, Kane County EOC at kanecounty.gov. So we will also have volunteers and staff out at the Touch a Truck. So if you'd like to come out and talk to a staff member or a volunteer to see how you can get more involved, that would be a good time to come out and do that also.
And it seems like you're looking for people for both logistics and operations for that side. What type of personalities are you looking for as well, or demeanors? Are you looking for people that may have had experience in high-stress situations, or are you looking for people with like just an eye for detail and admin?
Well, I think probably all of those things would be a good quality, because sometimes in the EOC it's a little bit stressful, and so you need to be able to deal with that stress, and when that stress happens, be the kind of person that can say, I need some help, I got a little stressed out here, and how can I get some help, or how can I do things differently? So we need people who are like that also.
Oh, okay. And then people will be able to ask you questions there at the Judicial Center in St. Charles. And actually, Are you kind of taking interviews for that too, or is it just an application process?
It's an application process to start with. There probably will be some phone calls later as we look over applications to have conversations with people. But come on out there and meet some of us, meet some of the volunteers and see what kind of people we have out there, meet some of our staff. We have another event that day, so we're kind of split between two locations on Saturday, but we would love to have you come out and talk to us. And if that doesn't work out, you can always call the EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, and talk to one of us there too, or come in and see what our Emergency Operations Center looks like. It's at 719 South Batavia Ave in Geneva. It's at the Government Center in Building C.
Thank you very much for coming on with us. What are you looking forward to with the Touch-A-Truck this Saturday?
I'm looking forward to getting people out there and the community out there, getting the kids out there to see what kind of vehicles we have. But more importantly, the idea of being able to give, even in a short amount of time, a little bit of information about how people can be better prepared for emergencies and disasters. That's my heart. That's why I do the job I do, is because my heart is to help people in those kind of situations. We talk about it as the worst days of people's lives.
Mm-hmm. And then the best practices for those days. Thank you very much for joining us today. Beith Drendel, Preparedness Specialist for Kane County. Find more information at kanecountyil.gov. This Saturday, 10 to 2 at the Judicial Center in St. Charles, a Preparedness Touch-A-Truck event to make sure that you and the family are prepared and to gather some more volunteers. When we come back, we will be talking a little bit about Emergency Preparedness Month with the very same Beith Drendel. Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate that. More WRMN coming right up after this.
In your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, say, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet.
Their honest, feel-good food menu is complemented by a beer list to satisfy every taste. Classic cocktails and our signature shakes, rich and creamy with a splash of boozy goodness just to shake things up a little bit. Bialek's Grill and Bar, classic American cuisine with a contemporary twist.
In the middle of the night, everything will be all right if you listen to Coast right here on WRMN, 7 days a week from midnight to 5 a.m. Each night on Coast to Coast, listeners are captivated by George Noory with discussions on news and current events, conspiracy theories, UFOs, life after death, and all things curious and unexplained. Coast to Coast, every night, midnight to 5 a.m. right here on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 3 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzy. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. And Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set to honor the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the Better Business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org. Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Pro tip, the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better, check with the BBB first because better businesses are honest and commit to high ethical standards bureau. That's why they're better. Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Illinois football plays host to Central Michigan tomorrow. The 2-0 start, the best in head coach Brett Bielema's 4 seasons. Northwestern home tomorrow against Eastern Illinois. Both teams come in with 1-1 records. Off day for the Cubs on Thursday. Chicago's 5 games out of a wild card in the National League tonight. They begin a series at Colorado, 7-5. Javier Assad scheduled to start. The White Sox are off Thursday. They host Oakland tonight, 6-11. Garrett Crochet, the starter. The Sox have 15 games to go and have 114 losses. The Major League record, 120, set by the 1962 Mets. The Bears visit Houston on Sunday. At practice Thursday, wide receivers Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen remained out. The Bears beat the Titans 24-17 to open the season. The Texans beat the Colts 29-27.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? With a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC.
The fresher, the better.
Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
say, who are the people in your neighborhood?
Welcome back to WRMN 1410. That's WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. We are continuing Fox Valley Afternoons right here. Starts at 2 o'clock, runs all the way to 6, with the last 2 hours being a political talk show. It is Emergency Preparedness Month. Are you prepared? Do you have a few things that, hey, maybe we should have changed that battery in the smoke detector that beeped at us, and all we did was just kind of take out the battery instead of replace one? Are there baskets of laundry sitting in your stairwell that maybe might be in the way in case you got to get out? Is there one of those windows that you just can't seem to open? And you know what? That's the only egress out of that room. These little things here and there, this is a perfect month to look at those things and get into the mindset of preparedness. To help us with that, of course, is preparedness specialist for Kane County, Beith Drendel. Beith Drendel is the preparedness specialist with the Kane County Office of Emergency Management. Her work focuses on raising awareness and educating the public on emergency preparedness, including creating disaster plans, preparing emergency kits, and understanding local hazards. During Emergency Preparedness Month, Beith Drendel emphasizes the importance of proactive planning to mitigate the impact of disasters on individuals and communities. She is also involved in youth preparedness initiatives here in Kane County, where she leads age-appropriate classes designed to teach children about different types of emergencies, protective actions, and essential first aid skills like CPR and bleed control. So without further ado, and nobody else better to talk about Emergency Preparedness Month, is Kane County very own Beith Drendel. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
I'm really happy to be here. I don't know about all of you, but I'm wondering if there's a possibility with the enthusiasm about the batteries that he might have to go home and put new batteries
It's definitely me.
in his smoke detector. So I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
I'm definitely one of those people that it takes me 2 or 3 days to figure out which smoke detector it is, of just like, okay, it starts going, is that the one in the kitchen? Is that the one over there? So it does take a bit. And then now I try to keep 9-volt batteries just around. So once I find the culprit, then it's not just unplugging it and taping down the emergency side. There's so many different ways that people bypass emergency warnings instead of heeding them. There's a reason why that thing goes off. I used to have a network where they unplugged the silence alarm because it kept going off. And it's like, well, don't have silence on the radio stations and the alarm won't go off. Don't unplug the alarm, fix the issue that's there. Are there other things that people need to worry about other than just, hey, batteries in the smoke detectors? Are there other little things that most people kind of ignore?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you about a little thing in a smoke detector that can cause a problem that's not just your battery.
Oh.
And now I do like the fact that you do have batteries stocked up, because one step in preparedness is to make sure you have batteries for all your battery operated items that you might need. But years ago, my smoke detector was going off and I couldn't figure out why it was going off. And they're electric. So I thought, well, because I can't figure it out, maybe there's an electrical thing that I don't know about. So I called my friend Chief Miller at the North Aurora Police Fire Department and asked him about it. And he said, well, I'll just come over and check it, with a whole bunch of fire trucks, which he didn't tell me was going to happen.
No.
And it turns out the problem in my smoke detector wasn't my battery. It was a spider who built a spider web inside of my smoke detector that was causing the problems. So just double check that when those are going off. Obviously, if there's smoke, get out. But if they're going off and you can't quite figure it out, just check to see if there might be a little critter in there that's causing the problem.
Now, if it chirps at you, it's not a full-on alarm. It's more of just like a, hey, something's wrong with me.
Right.
Because my second thought would have been some of the smoke detectors are also carbon monoxide detectors. So there may not be smoke that's around,
Right.
but that's there. What rooms, or is just one carbon monoxide detector efficient enough? Or should I have one in multiple rooms, just like we have smoke detectors?
You can actually buy smoke detectors now that are a combination of the two of them, but I think that you need to have them in multiple rooms. So you should have one in your basement. Your furnace and stuff is down there. I would suggest you have one on the living part of your house, and also upstairs in like a hallway where your bedrooms are.
Okay.
So that when it goes off. And when those things go off, they don't chirp. They make a very obnoxious sound that we've all heard before when we burnt our bacon or put a pizza in the oven too long. We have heard that sound. That chirping normally means you need a new battery, or my situation, they were actually going off.
Oh,
and
wow.
so it wasn't just that they were chirping.
Well, maybe it's a good thing that the entire department showed up to help you then, just in case, you know.
A little embarrassing for a spider, but
That's okay. So how is it? How often is preparedness just the idea of the just in case? Like I'm going to put this here just in case. I'm going to make sure I have these just in case. Is that kind of the mantra for preparedness, or is that just something that is kind of like one of those we might be worrying a little too much?
I was explaining to you earlier that I'm a half full glass kind of girl normally. I don't like to think about bad things, but my job is to every day, 40 plus hours a day, think about the bad things that can happen in our community, and then help to find ways to mitigate those and to teach people what they are going to do in those situations. So we don't ever want to think that bad things are going to happen, but they are going to happen, and they become less of a fear, and you can actually respond faster if you are prepared for those situations.
Is there a line of making it to where, not necessarily, I don't want to call it over prepared, but is there a certain line where it just becomes OCD, where I've got a smoke detector on every single wall now just in case, or I've got a stockpile of batteries for not only me but also 6 of my neighbors? Does it get to a point where it might be too cumbersome, or where's the line that you usually draw from, like, okay, I may not be prepared for everything, but I'm as prepared as I can be?
Okay, so the people who know me know that, I'm a preparedness specialist. And I don't have smoke detectors on every wall of my house, but I am prepared. So, and I feel like I have to be prepared because, not just because I have to, we all should be prepared. I teach these things. So I am prepared at home. I'm prepared in my car. So I try and get my kids prepared. And so and some people might even say she's overly prepared. I don't know that I'm overly prepared. You'd be surprised how many people will call me and go, do you have this? Because this is happening.
Yeah.
And I just about always can say, yes, I do. But the back of my car is full of preparedness. I have preparedness kits at home. So we do have a mantra for emergency management. It is the sky is falling. The sky is falling. If you remember Chicken Little. Now I don't want people to be walking around worried that the sky is falling, because as we learned in Chicken Little, the sky isn't falling. But we and a preparedness kit in my I teach preparedness not just to kids but to adults. In one of my slides is one of those big container things that on the back of a train or whatever.
Okay.
And I always say, when we're putting together a preparedness kit, I don't mean a kit this size. And then people who know me go, I think you probably have that size. I don't. But a preparedness kit normally is just 2 little containers of stuff. And then the food that you need, you need a gallon of water per person for each day. And we tell people that you need to be prepared for 72 hours. Because people are, and you might be thinking, you're not this, but you'd be surprised at how many people think that when there's a disaster happening, that the police and fire, Kane County Emergency Management, is coming to your neighborhood first and coming and knocking on your door first to make sure you're okay. Sometimes it takes 72 or more hours to get people out there to help you. So these kits are meant for in those 72 hours that you can be able to take care of yourself and your family. A preparedness kit needs to have, food. Your electricity is out, so you can't cook food. So most of your stuff in your cabinet are canned. So make sure that you have a hand-operated can opener, not those electric ones, because your electricity is out. And then that you put things in there that you like. In my class, I hold up a can of Spam and say, how many of you like Spam? Very little people raise their hand that they like Spam.
Mm-hmm.
So don't put Spam in your kit because you're already in a really bad place, or so you want to put things in there that are tolerable to eat. And then I also suggest that people have an extra canister of propane. So you're not necessarily having to eat things cold because you can heat them up with your gas grill. Or if you have a charcoal grill, that you always have a bag of charcoal on hand so that if you're in that situation, you can heat that food up.
Oh, there you go. And you said that you teach multiple different classes. How do you adjust the emergency preparedness for each class? Almost to the point where are there certain people that do need that little bit of scare versus maybe I don't want to take the 3rd graders and do that same thing. How do you adjust the course based off of the audience?
So my kids' classes, I break them up from 1st to 3rd grade, 4th and 5th grade, middle school, and high school. Sometimes I combine the 4th and 5th graders with middle school. It's harder to get those kids in than it is the 1st through 3rd graders. So I break that up in there, and I have a different presentation for each of those levels of kids. The little guys, my class is never meant to scare kids or adults for that matter. Some people need a little fear in them, but I don't want to scare kids. And I tell them that when you're in my class, everything I'm going to talk about is maybe a little scary. But it's not meant to scare you, because at the end of this class, I want to equip you that if these things happen, that you are not just confident that you can respond to those, but you feel empowered that you can respond to them and help your family. And even some kids who are crying in the beginning of the class because they're worried about what's going to happen, at the end, come out of the class feeling empowered. When I say in that class, are you guys empowered? Do you feel empowered? Their hands go up and they're yelling, I'm empowered. And then I've gotten stories from parents and emails from parents about kids who have used the stuff that they learned in my class to in emergencies. All the kids get an emergency go bag when they leave with emergency equipment. I got an email from a family that said that they went to Starved Rock. Mm-hmm. The mom, the dad, the girl that was in my class, and her little brother. She brought her go bag with her, which made me feel really good. It actually made me have tears that she brought her go bag with her. And her brother fell and got hurt pretty bad. He cut his leg. And mom didn't have anything for that. So she, I think they said she was 8 years old, pulled out her first aid kit that's in her go bag, cleaned up her brother, and then bandaged her brother up with the bag in there. And those kind of stories make me really proud and happy that stuff is being used that way. Our 4th and 5th grade and middle schoolers, I add a little bit more things in their stories and in their PowerPoint, because they are old enough to be able to deal with some of those things. And they're at the age where they're going to be staying home by themselves, and they're also at the age where they're going to start babysitting for other people. So I want to give them more than I'm going to give the 1st through 3rd graders. I do encourage the parents that when they get into middle school or 4th and 5th grade, bring them back for the other presentation so that they get more of that information. Adults, obviously, it's more than what I give middle schoolers. High schoolers, I give pretty much the same thing I do with adults. But the adult presentation has a lot more information that doesn't pertain to kids. I'm not asking kids to make sure they have their insurance cards and that they have their medical information, that they have their emergency some of them are emergency contact information. I'm not asking them to do that. I'm not asking them to stockpile food for
Where your
72
birth
hours.
certificates.
Right,
And,
yes.
yeah.
So it's a different presentation for adults. The funny thing about all of this, not really funny, but I started the kids program. I built it in 2000, during the end of COVID, 2021. Once COVID opened up, I started being able to do classes, kids classes. And since 2021, near the end of 2021, over 3,500 kids in Kane County have had a preparedness class.
Wow.
Parents want to bring their kids to do that, and it makes me really happy that they want to do that. But it's really hard to get those parents to come back and take their own class. So
Yeah, it's okay for the kids to go and sit down and learn, but there may be some information that's missing.
Right. I'm getting a little more, I hate to use the word aggressive, but about it at the end, because when they pick up their kids, I tell them that, I really appreciate and what awesome parents you are, that you felt it was important that your kids come and get prepared for emergencies and disasters. But now it's time for you to set an example of what you need to do to be prepared in an emergency and disaster in order to take care of your kids and family.
And what are some of those things, like some of the key steps that families in general can be better prepared, just in a group setting? Like, is there practices of, like, if anybody gets separated, we go here, or is there anything that families can take steps together in that same preparedness journey?
So let me just address the kids in your home.
Yeah.
So not just that, but kids. So kids need to know what your evacuation plan is, because when I ask them, every single class I ask, and I always say, I want you guys to be honest about this, even though that some of your parents are in the back of their room. I want you to be honest about this. How many of you have had a conversation, or your parents have had a conversation with you about where you're going to go if you have to evacuate your house in an emergency? And some kids raise their hand, and it's obvious by their answer that there wasn't really a discussion about that. But it's very few kids whose parents have had that discussion with. And I tell them that it's important that you have that discussion, because it's like, I use a fire situation. If there's a fire in your house and you have evacuated your house and you have gone to your neighbor's house 2 doors down because you thought that was safe, mom and dad and your sister or brother are at another location. When the police and fire approach you, they're going to say, is everybody out of the house? And if they can't account for that one child, they're going to tell that police or fire department, I don't know where my daughter is or my son is. And they're going to go into the house and look for that person.
Yeah.
So and that person's not there. And so we need to know where that location is, so everybody gathers in one place. It cannot, don't teach your kids to go to the mailbox in front of the house or the tree in front of the house, because especially in a fire situation, that fire is super hot and going to get super hot. And then, especially if it's dark out, fire and police are coming quickly to your location. You take the chance of an accident happening with your family members. So find a place that is maybe a couple doors down at a neighbor's house. depending on the age of the kids, across the street, where everybody is going to meet up at that one location, and then practice that. Pretend that the smoke alarms are going off, and everybody's in their bedrooms, and they take off, and they head off to where their emergency location is. So, I mean, that's something that we need to practice. And then we had those tornadoes last year in July, so a year ago this July in Elgin. And those 10 families that were evacuated to me. One of those families, 2 elderly people came, they forgot their cell phones. When you're evacuated from your home and they tell you you need to get out of your home, they give you 10 minutes or less to get out of your house. If you don't have all of those things that you need already located in one spot for you to take with you, you are not going to remember all of that important stuff that you need.
No.
These people left their phones on the counter. So they had no idea about anybody's phone numbers. We don't memorize phone numbers anymore.
No, definitely
We look
not.
in our phone. So they didn't know how to call their family, their kids, and let them know that they were okay because their phones were in there. Now, did I convince the fire department to go in and get their phones for me? Yes, I did.
Okay.
So they did go in and get their phones for them. But have all of your stuff that you need. And I mean, I could go over a big list here today, but I'm going to encourage you to come to a preparedness class and get those lists, or call me and I can email you some lists, but I would prefer that you would come to a class and get that information. Because there's so many things as an adult that we don't think about that we're going to need to take with us in those kind of situations.
When is the next class?
I don't have an adult class set up at the moment. I have multiple kids. Well, I have a senior class set up, but I have mostly kids classes set up this time. All they need to do is call me.
Okay, what's the number?
I'd have to.
Oh, okay.
For next break, I'll get
That's
it
okay.
for you.
We'll get that number.
And get you the phone number. Call our office. Just call the Kane County Emergency Management office in Geneva and just ask for Beth, and we can set up a class. Or you can email me. I do know that email address. It's Drendel, DRENDEL, Beth, at kanecountyil.gov. So you can email me, and I can set you up with a class. I do classes. You can come to we have a training room at the sheriff's office. People like to come there for that class so that we can show them the emergency equipment after, or I can come to you. Churches, if you have a meeting place there, I can come there. And I do business preparedness too for businesses in the area too.
We appreciate you coming over here. That number is 630-232-5985 for the Kane County Emergency Management. More with Beith Drendel when we come back, because we are giving away a emergency radio to a lucky caller. Call in with your questions, 847-931-1410, 847-931-1410. More emergency preparedness information after this.
Oh, who are the people in your neighborhood?
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzy. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade, starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. And Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set to honor the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Off day for the Cubs on Thursday. Chicago's 5 games out of a wild card in the National League tonight. They begin a series at Colorado. 7-5, Javier Assad scheduled to start. The White Sox were off Thursday. They host Oakland tonight. 6-11, Eric Crochet, the starter. The Sox have 15 games to go and have 114 losses. The Major League record, 120, set by the 1962 Mets. The Bears visit Houston on Sunday. At practice Thursday, wide receivers Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen remained out. The Bears beat the Titans 24-17 to open the season. The Texans beat the Colts 29-27. Illinois football plays host to Central Michigan tomorrow. The 2-0 start, the best in head coach Brett Bielema's 4 seasons. Northwestern home tomorrow against Eastern Illinois. Both teams come in with 1-1 records.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Everybody, great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API-SP test limits.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Welcome back to WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. I am speaking today with Beith Drendel. Beith Drendel is a preparedness specialist with Kane County Office of Emergency Management. Her work focuses on raising awareness and educating the public on emergency preparedness, including creating disaster plans, preparing emergency kits, understanding local hazards, and doing amazing radio interviews. Thank you very much for being here with us today, Beith. We talked a little bit about the classes and your ability to just get the phone call or reach out and kind of set up a class tailored to groups like youth groups or homeschooled. How often do you teach classes like that?
I am a full-time employee, so I am able to teach classes during the day. I teach classes in the evenings. I teach classes over the weekend. So I try and accommodate as much of as I can. So if you reach out to me and or shoot me some dates that work for you, I try and figure out how to fit them into a calendar. Classes are about 2 hours. That includes if you come to the Sheriff's Office Training Center, training room, you get to go on a tour of all of our emergency equipment that we have out there. So it will go to the 2 hours. The kids' classes pretty much go an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on their questions, how many questions they have, and they also get a tour of the area. But I'm also willing to come to you too. So if you have a location or you can't come to the sheriff's office, I come to those locations also.
Oh, great. 3.5, over 3.5 thousand kids have already gone through the system and your great emergency preparedness class. You could reach out to Beith at Drendel, Drendel, Beith, Beth, at kanecountyil.gov, or by phone at 630-232-5985. We're going to open up the phone lines for the station as well. That's 847-931-1410. We're going to open up the phone lines for your questions. If you ask a question, we will add your name into the drawing for a emergency radio brought to you by the Office of Emergency Management here in Kane County. See, just like Beetlejuice, you say a phone number and people show up. Hello, caller. Welcome aboard. What's your question?
I know I'm on the air, so I'll be brief. I want to know when you can call in and make advertisements for garage sales.
That is 12:30 most every afternoon on Out to Lunch with Matt McNeil.
How about Saturday? No?
Saturday, no, not right now. But if you do have something to sell, if you give us a text on the text line, we will add that into the mix there. The text line is 505.
Hold on, give me a second.
That's okay. Our other listeners can also text in their emergency questions to this line, and that's 505.
Okay.
926 1410. And if you send over the information there, we will go ahead and add that to the read that we do every afternoon at 12:30.
1410, you said the last number?
1410.
Okay. Now, it's too late for Saturday. I mean, there is nothing for tomorrow, right?
No, there's no shop show for tomorrow.
Okay. No, because I have a garage sale this weekend, so.
Oh, well,
right,
where's your garage sale? Go ahead. Go ahead.
On 10608 Charles Street in Huntley, today till 6, tomorrow till 6. Lots of stuff, jewelry, tools, everything you can imagine. Clothes, knickknacks, Longaberger stuff. After 4 o'clock tomorrow, everything's going to be half price that I don't pull. But I am going to pull some stuff off before I put this half price sale in effect.
Give that address out again.
10608 Charles Street in Huntley, 60142. I got signs out off of Huntley Dundee Road, and I got signs off of Algonquin. And it's also listed on all the garage sale websites.
Okay, thank you very much. Text that thing in there, and I will make sure we read it 2 or 3 more times here this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. It wasn't the question that we necessarily were looking for there, Beth, but I'll tell you what, community involvement is the way to go regardless. We got another caller coming in. Hello, caller. What is your question for preparedness specialist Beith Drendel?
Hey, how you doing, Sonar and Ben? Downtown Jose, enjoying the show.
Thanks.
My question would be, what do you do when a tornado lands and you hear the alarms about maybe 2 or 3 minutes before, but what do you do once it lands and you look out the window or you're out in the front yard and you see it destroying houses and everything? Do you go in the basement? Do you go in the bathtub? What would you do?
Well, I'm hoping before that point that you have gotten some sort of warning that a tornado is coming and that you should not be outside of your house looking at the tornado come. But what I would suggest, what you need to do is go to your basement. So when the warnings are happening and we're saying there's a tornado and it's going to happen, then you need to go to your basement. And the safest place in your basement is the room in the middle of your basement without any windows. But the very safest place in the basement is underneath your stairs, if you can get underneath your stairs. So some of the things that you should have in your basement already are some water, just in case you're down there for a long time. I also tell everybody one of the really important pieces of emergency equipment that you should have in your basement where you're going to evacuate to in a tornado is a whistle to put around your neck, so that if the house collapses and you're trapped in there and there's people outside looking for people that might be trapped in their houses, that whistle is going to come in really handy to blow so that people can hear that you're inside of your house. And if you have old baseball helmets or you find one at Goodwill, leave that in your basement in that area too, to put over your head to protect your head and those kind of things too. And people forget to bring their shoes. Make sure you wear your shoes and take your shoes to the basement, so that if you have to, at the end, get out and get outside. There's a lot of stuff out there you don't want to be stepping on in your house or outside. So those are the kind of things. Probably. But I'm suggesting that you go to your basement as soon as possible.
Yes, Beth, I had another question real quick, Sonar. My brother lives in Los Angeles, California, and the first time he witnessed an earthquake, he ran out of the house. And he said on the radio and in the news, they said, when an earthquake happens, stay in your house. Don't run out. But my brother freaked out, So that's just another thing that safety awareness. But anyway, Beth and Sonar, you guys having a good show. God bless both of you, and keep doing your thing, Sonar.
Thank you, Jose. Really appreciate the question.
All right, God bless you, brother.
Downtown Jose coming in with the first question. So far, he's the one that's walking away with that radio. So if you want to get into the mix over here, go ahead and give us a call, 847-931-1410. I've also heard that if you live within like a larger city limits, that you may not have to be as worried as some of the other people that are out even west in the county. Is there some truth to that, or should we always take every single warning seriously, no matter where we are with it? Because Kane County is a really big area.
If there is a warning out, you need to go to your basement. Mm-hmm. It's not true that just because you live in a populated area that a tornado can't affect you. We had some this year in the city of Chicago. Wow. And people thought that, we're not going to have any. They're protected by those buildings. And I think one of the other issues, which I think is becoming a less of a thing, because last year in Illinois, we had 121 tornadoes in Illinois. Wow. It's the most in any state in the United States last year. Our average in Illinois is only 50. Only 50, which is still a lot of tornadoes. But right now, we feel like that tornado alley that we've talked about has shifted, and we're going to see more of what those things are. I always ask in my kids' classes, do we have tornadoes in Illinois? And I had a little boy recently raise his hand and said, no, we don't have tornadoes in Illinois. And I go, why do you think that? And he said, my dad said we're protected by the bubble at Fermilab. And I know some of you don't know what that, you can do a little research on that on your own. But let me just tell you, my kid works at Fermilab. He assures me there is no bubble at Fermilab. And the truth is, if there was a bubble there, it has popped, okay? Because we are now seeing tornadoes and in that area. So don't tell your kids we're not going to have tornadoes to maybe make them less afraid, because that's not a true statement, and get them prepared instead for the situation. But I don't think you can think that just because you're in a heavily populated area that a tornado is not going to hit you. Always heed the warning and go to the basement.
We got another question came in from chat. and they ask, what is the difference between a tornado warning and a tornado watch?
Okay, that's a really good question. I'm going to give you the way that I explain it to kids. So a watch is we let's use baking a cookie chocolate chip cookies analogy.
Mm-hmm.
That a watch is that we have all of the ingredients to make cookies. Okay, it's all there. It's all set up. Nothing has been formed yet. There's no cookies made, but we have the ingredients for that.
Mm-hmm.
A warning means that the cookies are there, and that we have a very high probability of that, whether it's a tornado, severe thunderstorm, or whatever that warning is out for. Take heed for a warning, and then get prepared during a watch.
Cookies are imminent at that point.
Yes.
Warning.
Yes.
The other thing that I've seen before is that some places in the county are more susceptible to tornado warnings and watches that are different. For Kane County, where can we go to look to see exactly where the area is for maybe the watch or the warning or anything like that? Is there a specific place to go?
The National Weather Service has a really good app for that. So if you have a smartphone, a phone that you can download an app, or I would use the National Weather Service app, or on your computer, go to National Weather Service and you can get that information. We also, radio stations, the reason why we're giving away an emergency radio, it's a more emergency weather radio is what it is. Every tornado or severe storm that we have, we always have people that call us and say the tornado alarms didn't go off. Well, the tornado alarms did go off, but they're not meant to be heard in your home, and they're meant to be outside. They were built years and years ago for farmers in fields, because they were out in the field, they didn't know what was coming at them, they weren't listening to the weather, and it was to alert them. They're to alert people who are outside to get in your house and to someplace safe. A weather radio, because often the electricity goes out, your television's not going to work, your plug-in radio's not going to work to be able to get that kind of information. A weather radio is only geared to give you weather information. So you tune it to your area, and then it tells you that there's a watch out. And then it'll tell you there's a warning out. And then the alarm will go off that a tornado is in your area. And then it will also tell you that it's safe to go back to come out of your safe location. Now, not all of them do that much, but they will all warn you when there's a warning happening. And they're battery operated, and I think that it's one of those really important pieces of equipment that we need to have in our house, and they cost between $35 and $100. So it's worth having in your home.
Yeah, and that's what we are giving away here, or rather the emergency preparedness specialist that is Beith Drendel for the Kane County Office of Emergency Management is giving away a emergency weather radio. Go ahead and get your questions in 847-931-1410 on the YouTube chat, or the text line 505-926-1410, and get in by asking a question, get into that drawing that is there. I've got somebody here on the text line 505-926-1410. They are asking, why is Emergency Preparedness Month in September?
That's a really good question. It's in September because it's the month where tornadoes normally start. So now, do you have tornadoes other than those few months that we talk about? We had tornadoes this year in February. So it's not always those 3 months that we talk about. But September is normally the start of, well, actually, it was hurricanes that was the reason why they started in September. And this initiative was started in 2021.
I got another one here on YouTube chat that says, how can I get involved to help the Kane County Office of Emergency Management?
All right. So we have right now, we're going to do we have a touch-a-truck coming up on Saturday. It's just emergency vehicles from emergency management agencies that we're going to have out there. So we're going to have those trucks out there for the kids and for you guys, adults, to see what kind of vehicles, why we have them, and how we use them. And then we're also going to do some recruitment out there. Right now, our emergency management team is recruiting 2 different kinds of people. We're recruiting people that can be on our communication division at the EOC. Those people will staff the EOC like when there's a storm. So when we have a watch out, we normally open up the EOC, and then when there's a warning out, then we do a full activation of the EOC. Those people would come in and help with radios, and they would monitor the weather, the radar weather. And we also put weather spotters out in the field during the daytime. We never put them out there at night, but during the daytime. And those people are going to monitor where those weather spotters are, and then the information that comes in from the weather from those weather spotters.
And is that on location at the EOC?
That would be at their location. That EOC is our Emergency Operations Center, which is in Geneva. So you would come in to do those. And then we're also looking for people who want to be in the EOC as a volunteer during an emergency or disaster. We're looking for people that are good at planning, logistics, resource tracking, and coordinating damage assessment and emergency shelters. They would come in and help in those kind of during an emergency if we've activated the Emergency Operations Center. These volunteers will be we feel like the EOC is a safe place in those situations. And if at any time that it looks like that the EOC is going to be in the line of a tornado, we do have a safe location to evacuate people to. And then we're looking for people who are experienced in those areas. And if you are interested in that, you can look on our website or email us at Kane County EOC at kanecounty.gov. So look us up there, or just give us a call. He just gave you the phone number. We can give that out again. Call us or come out to our touch-a-truck, and we'll have volunteers out there. We have 5.5 employees. 5 of us are full-time, and then we have an assistant director that is half-time. And some of us will be out there, and some volunteers will be out there. So come out and talk with us. We'll have applications out there. And if you can't come out there, you can call us, and we can maybe have a conversation on the phone, or you can maybe come see our Emergency Operations Center.
The Touch-a-Truck is Saturday the 14th from 10 to 2 at Judicial Center in St. Charles. That's the Preparedness Touch-a-Truck. Reach out to the Kane County EOC or Beith Drendel herself, Drendel Beth at kanecountyil.gov, or by phone 630-232-5985. That's 630-232-5985. I've got one more text line question that is in here, and they ask, where can I go to learn first aid emergency procedures like CPR or Narcan to be prepared in skills, not just equipment?
You can reach out to your fire departments. They do first aid and CPR classes. You can also reach out to the Kane County Health Department. They also offer those classes, and they also do offer Narcan training.
Beith Drendel is a preparedness specialist with Kane County Office of Emergency Management. Again, you could reach out to her to book a class or to find out more information about the Office of Emergency Management and even ways to volunteer. Go ahead and call the number 630-232-5985. In the last couple of minutes that we've got here, is there anything pressing that we didn't hit on while we were here?
I'm going to bring up the kids' classes again. I love preparedness, and I really do feel strongly, not just with kids but adults, that this is something that we all need to do because it's going to lessen the effect of the disaster, and it also speeds up recovery and it saves lives. But in my kids' classes, I mentioned that I give the kids a go bag at the end. It has emergency equipment in there. We are looking for people to help us be able to keep giving out those go bags to the kids. And so we're looking for sponsors. We're looking for people like a dentist office that might be willing to donate toothbrushes and toothpaste, somebody that might want to do the first aid kits or the whistles or any of that kind of stuff. It costs about $18 a kid to do those preparedness kits. And this year I will have done over 1,000 kids. Wow. So we're talking about $18,000. And those bags are really important to the kids. And they have been using them. We had did I already mention the kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already used those. A little boy was in his room. There's a whistle in there. And a little boy was in his room, and they'd been taught in my class to shut their bedroom doors when they go to bed so that smoke isn't entering their room and what their procedure is. But they've also been told to pull out a whistle and blow their whistle in their room so somebody knows that they're still in their room. He was in his room doing his homework. He heard the smoke detector go off. He thought he felt the door and it was warm, so he did all of the things I asked him to do, then pulled out his whistle and blew his whistle. Well, it turned out that his house wasn't on fire. Mom put cookies in the oven and went out to get something out of the car, was talking to the neighbor too long, and the house filled with smoke because the cookies caught on fire. But he did the right thing, and he learned in that class the importance of what you do in those situations. And I want to continue to give them the equipment that they need in those situations.
Thank you very much for being here with us today. We really appreciate your time. Beith Drendel, Emergency Preparedness Specialist for Kane County Office of Emergency Management. Reach out to her, Drendel Beith, at kanecountyil.gov or by calling 630-232-5985, 630-232-5985. More WRMN on the way for Fox Valley Afternoons. Stay tuned, right back.
In your neighborhood, say, who are the people?
Attention all burger enthusiasts and game aficionados. Celebrate a century of excellence at Mott's Lounge. Proudly serving the community for 100 years under 5 generations of passionate ownership. Sink your teeth into our hand-pressed fresh burgers bursting with flavor, crafted just the way you like them. And while you're here, enjoy our exclusive drink specials, perfect for toasting to our milestone anniversary. Plus, challenge your luck with our state-of-the-art gaming machines, adding an extra thrill to your visit. Join us at Mott's Lounge and be a part of history in the making. Here's to another century of great food, fun, and memories. Mott's Lounge, where every visit is a celebration. For more information, visit us online at mottslounge.com.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 4 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office sat down in the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. and Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Image 360 South Elgin is your ultimate destination for custom signs and visual communication solutions. Looking to rebrand your office interior? Need striking vehicle wraps or decals for your fleet? Or perhaps you're in the market for a standout trade show display. At Image 360 South Elgin, they've got you covered. As your full-service custom sign and graphics partner, they deliver bold solutions and exceptional support. From outdoor signage to eye-catching store signs, indoor graphics to comprehensive branding solutions, they have the experience to elevate your brand's presence. Trust Image 360 to create a long-term partnership that gives your brand 360 degrees of exposure. Visit them at 506 Sundown Road in South Elgin. Image 360 South Elgin. Bold solutions, exceptional support.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. The Bears visit Houston on Sunday. At practice Thursday, wide receivers Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen remained out. The Bears beat the Titans 24-17 to open the season, while the Texans beat the Colts 29-27. Illinois football plays host to Central Michigan tomorrow. The 2-0 start, the best in head coach Brett Bielema's 4 seasons. Northwestern home tomorrow against Eastern Illinois. Both teams come in with 1-1 records. Off day for the Cubs on Thursday. Chicago's 5 games out of a wild card in the National League. Tonight, they begin a series at Colorado, 7-5. Javier Assad scheduled to start. The White Sox were off Thursday. They host Oakland tonight, 6-11. Garrett Crochet, the starter. The Sox have 15 games to go and have 114 losses. The Major League record, 120, set by the 1962 Mets.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API-SP test limits.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive.
Discover the authentic taste of Italy at Mazziano's Pizza and Pastaria at Route 20 and Nestler in Elgin. There is one true fact of everyday life that never dulls: the simple pleasure of eating great Italian food. At Mazziano's, they'll make sure your dinner or lunch will be the best part of your day. Whether you have a taste for pizza or any of Mazziano's homemade Italian recipes, like ravioli or lasagna, they can also cater your party. Enjoy it any way you like: delivery, carry-out, or dine-in. Visit Mazzianos.com.
Take a historic walk through the home of America's greatest showman, Al Ringling. Located in Baraboo, Wisconsin, you can view the grand opulence on a guided tour, now hourly starting 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Weekday tours begin on the veranda and on the weekends in the tap room of the Al Ringling Brewery. Behind the mansion, kick back and try a flight of craft beers and dine at this family-friendly stop. Visit alringlingmansion.com for more information.
Welcome to WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. My name is Dennis Sonar Green, and you are listening to a political talk show, but on a very special Free Speech Friday here on Friday the 13th. It's one of those superstitious type of days, but superstition is usually just in the mind of the beholder. If you truly believe in something, you're giving it that power. And so I like to give ideas power, including the spooky ones. Joining us today is Jill Kempner, an angel coach and healer who specializes in guiding individuals through personal and spiritual growth by connecting with their guardian angels. With over 2 decades of experience as a holistic health professional, Kempner has crafted a unique approach that combines her knowledge of Reiki, yoga, and meditation with angel communication. Her work is centered around helping clients release pain, stress, and emotional blocks by tapping into the healing power of their angels. Jill is also the author of Receiving from Your Angels: 4 Practices to Heal Your Pain with Angel Love, a book that outlines her methods and offers practical advice for deepening spiritual connections. So before I blather on any more about this amazing person, we will hear directly from her. But don't forget that you can follow her on Twitter at Jill Kempner. That is JILLKEMPNER. Jill, can you share a little bit about your journey in becoming an angel coach?
Yes, I often get asked, like, well, how did you get into this? And oftentimes I sum it up in actually one word, and I say trauma.
Oh.
Because I went through a lot of difficult and challenging experiences as a child, and I wrote about it in my book. So I have 4 practices to help you connect with the angels, heal with the angels. But as part of that, I share the stories and the experiences that I had that led me to write this book. And specifically, I like to help people who have physical pain, physical ailments and issues in the tissues to heal. And so I think, my journey began as a massage therapist when I was 18. So I was really young, and I went to massage. I didn't go to college. I went directly to massage school, and I just fell in love with the healing arts. I fell in love with helping people relax and feel good. And, there was just so much value in the body work. Mm-hmm. And the massage led me to yoga. And fell in love. I do yoga every single day. It's just so healing, so relaxing, so centering, grounding. And my love of massage and yoga just, kind of naturally led me to energy work. But, back to the trauma, my father was murdered when I was 11 years old. And I know that set me on a path of thinking about the other side and thinking about heaven and the divine and where people go when they're not here anymore. And I know that desire to relax, to feel safe, to feel at peace led me to the massage career. And then from massage to yoga, and then to the energy work. So I started studying Reiki, which is a form of energy healing. And then it led me to the angels and the integrative energy therapy, which is one of the modalities that I work with to help people to transform the issues in the tissues. So really, it's coming from source. And we just open ourselves up. We open our hearts, we open our minds. And oftentimes that can happen because we've experienced something hard. We've experienced something difficult. So my, I guess, passion, desire to like heal the pain, heal the sadness, heal the grief, heal the trauma, led me to wanting to understand, like, why am I going through this? This is like hard, my father was murdered. My mom was a single mom. My brother ended up having a mental illness, which was very difficult. And there was, when we were poor, there was a lot of challenges. And I was like, why is all this happening to us? Why is this happening to me? What does this mean? And I guess that's one of the magic questions, right? So that led me to, this path of self-discovery, getting a chance to know myself better, and to heal, right? I didn't want to be in pain. I didn't want to feel angry. I didn't want to feel, sad all the time. I wanted to be my most peaceful, joyful self. So I think that's sort of how it all started.
Yeah. Joining us as well is Matt McNeil from Out to Lunch here on WRMN. And I'm sure both of us have the burning question of angel oracle deck versus a tarot or a other type of reading that's out there. I mean, if you have the belief in it, you could really have a reading with a deck of bicycle playing cards if you really put meaning behind it and then allowed those energies to flow through it. What are the differences and similarities for some of these decks and readings?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And I have to say, there is a really awesome reader at Sacred Ground. His name is Robert, who uses the bicycle, card deck, just like a regular playing card deck. So I'm going to answer your question, but I want to start by saying I got into oracle cards because I was in a class and she had us all pull cards, and the card or the goddess that I got that day just like really resonated with me, and it made me feel like alive. It made me feel connected. It made me feel good, like peaceful. And I was like, okay, whatever this is, I like it. So I started to collect oracle decks and work with, mostly with the angels, but there are, goddesses and crystals and fairies and all kinds of oracle decks, right? But I really was gravitating towards those archangel decks and the angel decks. And it was just, I was getting clarity. I was getting answers. I was getting, these moments of peacefulness that, I couldn't deny. And I was talking about that with Mark, the difference between oracle decks and tarot decks. And all of it is divination, right? It's opening up to source, to our soul, to the angelic realm, to the other side, right? Tarot tends to have a little bit more of like a predictive type of purpose, right? Okay. We're predicting what could happen in the future. We're predicting my mom always used to say, it wasn't about predicting the future, but it was about what energies are present. What energies are we navigating as we're moving through this, whatever, maybe it's a hard thing, maybe it's a joyful thing. So give me some guidance, right? What are the energies? What's the support? The oracle decks for me have been this focal point. Now I use my oracle cards very specifically, and I talk about it in my book. It's all about intention. It's all about the fuel. So intention is everything. And what I teach my clients and my students is how to use the angel cards to connect with that intention, to awaken that intention, to embody that intention. It's all about intention. Energy follows intention. So we work with the cards with a very specific question a very specific intention to get answers, to get messages, to get clarity on whatever we're going through. And oftentimes, they're often a validation of what we've already been thinking and feeling, right? It's like, oh, I totally knew that. And it's a support. So I hope that answers the question.
It does. Okay. Jill Kempner is an angel coach and author of Receiving from Your Angels, and that is 4 practices to heal your pain with angel love.
Oh, sorry?
Go ahead. But your question?
Oh, I didn't have a question. You answered my question about the tarot versus the angel cards, because I had kind of worked a little bit in that in tarot reading when I was in college. Oh. There's actually a store called the Gypsy Haven here in Elgin. Oh. So I very much recognize the different cards, the different tools that are used. And I was always, especially later into high school and earlier into college, I was very fascinated with that. So that's why I joined on today, because I was very fascinated about learning a little bit more about the difference between the two, and also hearing, of course, like you said, it's all about intention, and that's exactly, what I in the past had followed too. And, maybe even, seeing, is there also a place where I could maybe even use it again? Because I haven't in a while. So it's kind of, it just, the whole thing is very fascinating to me, learning about what's out there, the unknown, what we already know, and how these tools we can use to help ourselves and also others too. So.
And I think that's a great way to put it too, Matt, is the tool aspect of it is just like you would have a cell phone to receive a call or a letter to receive a message from there too. I think a lot of what energy practices is using a way to kind of read those energies that are in there. Let's talk a little bit about the book. The book from Receiving from Your Angels. What inspired you to actually to move from just a practitioner to a author to help other people?
Yeah, when I'm trying to think how old I was 30 something, and I got the guidance that I would write a book. And my angels, and I was like, then I felt like this, oh my God, I have to write this book, and what is it about? And I have no idea, and I just heard you're gonna write it when you're 40. So I kind of let it go for a little while and just, was like, okay, tell me what this book is about and what it's gonna be within it and all of that. And when I turned 40, the divine download came through to, part of my medicine, because I've experienced so much pain, and I can say physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, I wanted to help others to heal pain. That is like my mission. And I can really sit here today pain-free because of the practices in my book.
On all 4 categories?
So sometimes the physical is always going to be the most challenging, right? Because it's the densest of all the layers. But really at a state of, deep peace, and the pain that I had while I was writing the book that was, that I was transforming, the shoulder pain, the knee pain and the shoulder pain, it's gone. And it's gone because I didn't just write the book and publish it, but I'm sharing it, I'm teaching it, and I'm living it. So I'm living the practices: renew your devotion, relax and cherish your body, release and lead with your heart, and receive and trust your intuition. So each one of these practices feeds your connection, supports and aligns your connection with your team of angels, and of course beyond that, right, source. I just kept following the breadcrumbs and trusting, but I knew that one thing I knew is that what we go through is our medicine. And it's part of our gift. And I knew that I had went through all this pain, and then I learned all these amazing tools, energy medicine, and I had to put it all together. And I just kept listening step by step by step, and they kept giving me the clarity, making it super practical, relatable, and I think usable for for everyone.
And you had mentioned a few times, and even then, executive producer Ben Damoni and Boquest had brought it in as well, about working your spiritual muscles. I mean, there's so many different, even philosophers that are out there. Steiner, Proust, Nietzsche, all talk about the spiritual organs, the heavy lifting that a lot of us have to do spiritually before we can start asking harder, heavier questions. Was some of your experiences as just a person in general through your childhood and everything else, has that made you stronger in working with some of your people here with different things to the point where even if I am spiritually slightly weaker, you kind of know what kind of workout regimen I might need to do to get to that?
You got it. You read my mind. So what I do with my clients, right, is I meet them where they're at, and I teach them how to meditate.
Okay.
I teach them how to work with the oracle cards.
And like Matt had said, is that another one of your tools
Yes.
for everything?
Absolutely. And that when you said that, I wanted to jump in. There was one little part, but you brought it back with the daily devotional practice. So it's either like an angel, I'm starting to call it an angel practice, but in my book, it's called the daily devotional practice. Okay. And part of why I use the word devotional was because I wrote a whole chapter about devotion, renewing your devotion, because we make this commitment to heal. Mm-hmm. We make this commitment to stay aligned with our angels, to connect with our angels. And then we're human. And we forget, we fall, we fail, we stumble, and we have to re-devote. We have to recommit over and over and over again. So a big part of why people hire me is to sort of keep you on track. So I create the template for you, and then I keep you on track with it. And then in the healing sessions, in the coaching sessions, we're doing energy work to transform that specific pain, that specific issue in the tissue. So it's kind of like team effort, right? Mm-hmm. You're doing your own work in between the sessions, right? In between, because I have several coaching programs.
Yeah, you still have to work out even at the gym.
Yes.
I can't hire you to go and run the treadmill for me. Yeah. And then I lose the weight. It's like, well, no, I still have to do the work, but that's where the coaching aspect comes in.
Exactly. We come up together with your fuel, and, it's like, how do you really want to feel, and then knowing that there's an opposite energy to that you might need some help with, right? We can have this beautiful intention of peace, but the shadow could be pain, and we need help move to align with peace, right? Devote and redevote over and over again. We need that support. We need that coaching support. We need the support of the practices, the support of our own personal practice to really do the deep healing and the deep transformation that can happen. Can I share just a little something? So I just the 11th, which is September 11th, which is a big day for the America. I went to the psych hospital 18 years ago on that day. And as the anniversary approached, I almost forgot it was my anniversary. Mm. And in a good way, because I had done so much reframing, healing, transforming, alchemizing of that super hard and painful, humbling experience that I went through. And I had my daughter, and I had some I had a little postpartum depression, but I really actually had post-traumatic stress disorder. Mm. And it was undiagnosed. They didn't know what it was. And it took me years to actually, after that hospital visit and my dark night of the soul, which I write about in practice number 1, it took me years to understand that's what it was. So I can sit here today with such gratitude in my heart for that day, for that time frame, whereas the first 10 years was very painful. I had shame, I had judgment, just all this stuff. And now it's like, oh my gosh, that was an opening for me. That was a change in direction that allowed me to eventually write my book. And my husband did say that. He said, "You're going to write a book. one day from this hard thing you're going through right now. And he was one of my people holding me up during that time. So I don't know how we got on that, but I just feel like I'm so proud of the work that I've done to get to a place of mental health and well-being. And I know it's because of my commitment to helping people heal pain, my commitment to the practices of my book. I am one of those people that walks the talk.
Jill Kempner is an angel coach and healer who specializes in guiding individuals through personal and spiritual growth by connecting with their guardian angels. With over 2 decades of experience as a holistic health professional, Kempner has crafted a unique approach that combines her knowledge of Reiki, yoga, and meditation with angel communication.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
You were going to say something?
I did have a question, actually.
Sure.
So you mentioned your own PTSD and getting through that. Is that a common thing that people come to see you for, or what would you say the most common thing you help people work through is?
Thank you for asking that. I've worked with so many different clients with different issues, but absolutely PTSD, the different traumas that we've experienced and then the subsequent post-traumatic stress disorder that comes through.
Right, because so many people don't understand that they even have that.
Absolutely. And so I think part of part of the hard things I went through, right, is now sharing and talking about it and saying, hey, this is what I experienced. And these are the tools, these are the healing modalities that I used to actually create transformation, to be able to talk about it. And a lot of it has to do with understanding the deeper meaning of why we went through. That's a big part of what I do with my clients, is I help them to understand what that pain means, whether the pain is physical or emotional. So I help people with, if they're feeling really stuck around a certain emotion, it could be anger, it could be grief, it could be PTSD, we face it, right? We face it with our light, we face it with all the tools. And so it can be a vulnerable experience. Because we're opening up, right? We're opening up that wound, but we're not doing it alone, right? We have this team of angels. We have, our soul supporting us. And then, of course, we have, me and my angels and my practices in my book and all of that. So I'm working more towards helping people now with physical pain. Of course, when I was a massage therapist for 20 years, I was working with, knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, different kind of orthopedic, pains. And it's fascinating to see somebody get into a deep state of relaxation without me even touching them, and their pain is gone. So I can take someone from an 8 to a 2 in about a half an hour.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's just something that so many people don't realize they need, or they're looking in the wrong places, or just not acknowledging it at all. So it's great that you're a resource for that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Jill is the author of Receiving from Your Angels, 4 Practices to Heal Your Pain with Angel Love, a book that outlines her methods and offers practical advice for deepening spiritual connections. Her work is centered around helping clients release pain, stress, and emotional blocks by tapping into the healing power of their angels. When we come back, we will talk a little bit more with Jill and the angel coaching, maybe even see a practice or two, one of her many tools in her toolbox. Thank you very much for being here, both you, the listener, and you, Jill Kempner. We will be back with more Apolitical Talk Show after this.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Curdan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzy. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade, starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. And Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set down in the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set down in the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade, starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. and Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome to WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. You're listening to a political talk show right here on WRMN and streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/@WRMN Radio. It is Free Speech Friday right here on A Political Talk Show. And what freer speech could we possibly have than speaking with our angels? Jill Kempner is an angel coach and healer who specializes in guiding individuals through personal and spiritual growth by connecting with their guardian angels. With over 2 decades of experience as a holistic health professional, Kempner has crafted a unique approach that combines her knowledge of Reiki, yoga, and meditation with angel communication. Her work is centered around helping clients release pain, stress, and emotional blocks by tapping into their healing power of their angels. Jill is also the author of Receiving from Your Angels: 4 Practices to Heal Your Pain with Angel Love, a book that outlines her methods and offers practical advice for deepening spiritual connections. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. This is a pleasure.
Matt is going to move some energies around the room a little bit here, infuse a little bit in there. We will ask our better angels to communicate with us. And I do not want to steal any kind of thunder from anybody, so go ahead and take it away.
So we're going to do a 3-card angel reading for Matt. Around transforming some sadness into peace. So what we want to do when we're pulling cards is to ask, we're asking as if it's already done. And because we're tapping into the highest possible vibration. So we don't want to ask, why am I so sad? Because we're bringing in more sadness. We want to ask, how is it that I'm going to feel peace about my childhood experience? How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, great. All right, and we're working with, I want to give credit where credit is due, the Kyle Gray Angel Guide deck. This is not my deck. But I use it all the time with all my clients. This is the #1 deck because it's a direct message from your guardian angels, and it's clean, it's clear. I just want to say this is so important before we do this. All the messages from the angels are positive, loving, constructive, trustworthy, uplifting. So there's nothing sort of scary or kind of worrisome or any of that, right? It's always going to be uplifting, peaceful, and positive. So I just want to plant that seed of working with the angels. So we're going to ask, how is it that Matt is receiving his next level of peace around his birth mother and his childhood experience? Okay, so we clear the deck, we knock on it 3 times, and then we shuffle. This is a message directly from your guardian angels about feeling more peace. So I'm just going to lay them out. Romance and connection, divine downloads, intuition and downloads, and spiritual growth. Actually, this is the card. This card is actually the front cover of the whole entire deck. So that always has a little significance, each little card. And look at these colors. The first thing I'm drawn to is the yellow and the gold. Do you see that in all of them? Yeah. For some reason, romance and connection, this is about keeping your heart open, letting your heart stay open. When we have that sadness and that grief that we feel like we're carrying from our family, it can close our heart a little bit and close off that intimacy that we want. That we desire. So the first thing your guardian angels are saying is, keep your heart open. Look at that golden light spinning around the heart, and knowing that this is what I'm hearing as you release the sadness, as you release, the grief around your experience and your birth mother and all of that, you're gonna feel a renewed sense of connection. My sense is to another person, not just the angels, but it could also be the angels, because this is kind of an angel, around this person. This could be about, deepening your intimacy, opening your heart to the next level, knowing that you're safe too. So that's what I hear from this card. Probably more. Sometimes I go to all 3 and then come back. Okay. The middle card is so interesting because Ben mentioned, I said, we're going to get some divine downloads. And he goes, I like that. And then you got intuition and downloads. So what I see and feel from this is you need to pay attention to those moments of peace, right? Pay attention to how, when your angels are communicating with you through your psychic senses. So we have 5, I talk about this in my book, we have 5 channels to the angels. We have 5 channels to the divine. Claircognizance at the crown, which means clear thought or clear knowing. Clairvoyance at the 3rd eye, which is clear vision, clear seeing, clear audience at the ears, which means clear hearing, clear fragrance at the mouth and throat, which is like clear scent or taste, and then clear sentience in the belly. So this is paying attention to all of your intuitive channels, letting the sadness go out of those intuitive channels so they're more open to the downloads and to the further connection that you can have moving forward now that you have this more knowledge about your birth mother and your family. What can you do with it moving forward, right? So like, we didn't talk so much about this, but this is important to name. When you're working with the angels, it's about asking, right? You have to ask for them to help you. They're here, they're ready, willing, and able, and we have to ask. So I feel this is also about asking for help, asking for your intuition to be open, asking for the downloads that can support you in letting go of that sadness, letting go of the grief, the heaviness in your heart, and just being open. And I just love that image, right, of the downloads coming through into the third eye, and then the heart. Look at that golden heart expanding open, another golden heart. And the third card is, to me, very clear that as you let go of the sadness, as you let go of the grief, you're going to feel the sense of spiritual growth. You're going to know that it's sort of like what I was mentioning before about how I almost forgot it was the anniversary of that challenge that I went going to the psych hospital 18 years ago, because I had done so much integration, so much purposeful, intentional healing. And so it's like, know that as you look at this sadness, as you look at the grief, right, through the eyes of your angels, right, through the eyes of your soul, that you will experience the spiritual growth, this awakening to higher, the higher vision of why everything happened the way it happened, how everything unfolded. So we keep asking, what lesson did I learn? What lesson am I learning, right, from this pain? What lesson am I learning from this sadness? Spiritual growth is about having the courage to ask, right? What am I learning? And what am I learning from continuing to hold on to that sadness, to that grief, to that heaviness in my heart? And what are you talked about passing things down. What are we transmuting or transforming for our lineage? So we have to also say, well, am I carrying something that's not mine? That's part of the spiritual growth, right? It's being able to have the courage to release, the courage to look at what you've been through the eyes of love and through the eyes of the third eye. You see that third eye glowing there? I'm not sure if we can see that third eye glowing, but it's just absolutely beautiful and coming through so joyfully. I don't know how long that took, but I would love to hear how that resonated and what came up for you if we have another minute or two.
Yeah. With the spiritual growth, it feels like, I'll say this. So I had learned that there was some alcoholism in the family, my mother and my grandmother too. And so part of me had kind of worried, like, would that happen to me? And it was never, ever a problem. Alcoholism for me, never, ever. I barely ever drink. But sometimes, like, in the back of my head, I was like, when I found that, I was like, is that going to happen to me? And also the hardships that they went through too, financially especially. Very, there was a lot of poverty in the family. So it's sometimes I wonder, will I be going through the same thing? Or can I also say, no, I'm not going to allow that to happen. So I think it's maybe it's also a confidence issue too at times, but that I think these cards all spoke to me very well. So
yeah, and I think the other part about spiritual growth is finding peace in the pain. Yeah. It's turning, and that's what I do. Is I turn me and the angels, right? My practices in my book turn pain into peace, right? By seeing it through a higher perspective, right? To understand the deeper meaning of why we go through what we go through. Yeah. So, beautiful.
Yeah. And I think, finding out this information, and my birth mother, she's passed away. She passed away from cancer in 2014. And I kind of just shoved it down. I didn't think about it, but very recently it's been kind of coming back, and it's starting to resonate with me, like, you know, hearing what she went through and then leaving this earth. It was like, it was saddening to me. So it didn't take away, of course, at all in any way how grateful I am for being adopted and the wonderful family that I do have. But it's more of, you know, this is who I biologically came from. And sometimes I wonder, like, I hope that I don't have to go through what she had to. So.
Yeah, and I think that's why you got a different life and a new life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and being so open about
You're
it.
very welcome. Thank you.
And I feel like, you know, the reading keeps unfolding for you, right? So, but knowing that spiritual growth is coming when you trust your intuition and keep your heart open to love, keep your heart open to connection, keep your heart open, right? You know, keep your heart open to love and the love that we can have from our mothers from the other side. My mother's also on the other side as well. So, you know, just keeping those channels open so we can keep healing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think also this experience for me, finding my birth family also helped me to appreciate the life that I have here too. Because I think about if I wasn't adopted, what I possibly could have gone through with some of the other more personal stories. So,
yes.
So I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And that's the attitude of gratitude is one of the things I talk about in my book. Keeping our hearts open, because that's how our heart is the gateway to our angel's love. And when our heart is open, my whole medicine of my book is about receiving, right? Being able to open up. And how do we receive from our angels? We receive by asking, we receive through our breath, and we receive through intention.
Absolutely.
So,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I already feel more at peace now. So
awesome.
I
All right.
appreciate it
and we welcome the angels of peace as well.
Thank you.
To keep working with you and around you as you move through this. So yeah, I'm grateful.
I appreciate that a lot. You do such a great job with helping others and recognizing what's at the core, bringing it outward, looking at it face to face, and saying, how are we going to find peace with this? And I love it. It's all about the intention, like you said. So
yeah,
I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm excited to see how this keeps unfolding for you.
Yes, me too.
You know, there's more. There's always more.
Because it is exciting. It is exciting, too.
It is exciting,
yeah.
especially the romance and connection, right?
Yeah.
Starting with that. So always a good thing.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
Jill Kempner, do you have me on? Jill Kempner is an angel coach and healer who specializes in guiding individuals through personal and spiritual growth by connecting with their guardian angels. Through the process that we saw here, you asked about the intention. Is that something that you specifically start to, when you go into a reading or the oracle side of things, is that something that you focus on? Because I can't just turn around and be like, so what you doing? It has to be more of that intentional aspect of everything, or is it more of a generality of like, how are we feeling today or something like that?
Well, the oracle cards are a tool that we use, right, to receive, to open up, to so it's everything is intention with the oracle cards. The more accurate the more intentional you are, the more accurate the reading will be. Okay. So it's all intention, and then there's a special way of asking, right? We're really not asking yes or no questions. We're asking about. So what we actually want is that feeling.
Okay.
So when we can get to that core feeling, that's what That's what it's all about. We think we want the thing, but we actually want the feeling that thing is going to give us. So if we can align with that now, we can align with the feeling, that vibration, that energy, we're more open to receiving the vision, the steps, the path to that energy. And we're also, when we're intentional about the reading of peace, he said, I already feel a little more peaceful because that was your intention. Yep. So we keep coming, whatever your intention is, we keep coming back to it over and over again when we're looking at the reading. So what I do with my clients is I help them choose a fuel and stay devoted to it, no matter what that opposite energy is, right? So we're going to have, those, we're in a plane of duality. We have the opposite energies that we're coming up against or working through or whatever. And we just have to keep devoting and redevoting over and over again to that intention, to that fuel, until it's fully embodied. And that we don't know how long that takes. That's, how long it'll take for you to have full peace around that experience, what your mom went through. We can't, we don't surely know, but the more purposeful, the more intentional, the more committed and devoted you are, the more peace you'll feel. Is that kind of?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And where can people go to find more information about you and sign up for your programs or sign up for the coaching?
Yeah, so I have something called a breakthrough conversation. So everything's on my website. It's my name, JillKempnerHealing.com. And I have something called a breakthrough conversation. So it's a free 1-hour conversation that's over Zoom. That are for people interested in hiring me as their coach, to really understand what I can offer them. So in that 1-hour conversation, what I do is I help you choose your fuel, something we've talked about a few times, right? Get really clear about that intention, the energy you want to embody, the energy you want to feel. And then I share the angelic perspective of that issue in the tissue, of that pain that you're going through. I say, okay, here's what your angels are saying about this wound, this pain, this shoulder pain, this hip pain, this knee pain, this gut pain. Here's what your angels are saying about it. And here's the path to healing it.
Okay.
And then if we're a good fit, I share the details of my coaching program with that potential client.
Where can people find the book?
My book, Amazon.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Amazon. I'm actually looking to get it into some more local stores. It is also at Sacred Ground, which is in Arlington Heights. They have a few copies of my book as well, but you can get it on Amazon. Oh, thank you, Lovey. You can get it on Amazon. And it's actually, so the publisher that I hired, Inspire Bites Omni Media, and Martina Faulkner, it's print on demand.
Okay.
So instead of there being 100,000 copies of this book sitting somewhere in a warehouse, it's printed as people order them, which I think is kind of cool. It's supposed to be a little bit more environmentally friendly.
And you don't have a garage full of boxes.
I don't have a garage full of boxes of my books. I do have some books at home, but it's print on demand, and Amazon's pretty good and pretty accurate about getting them out to people right away. And so.
Receiving from your angels 4 practices to heal your pain with angel love. Again, that's Receiving from Your Angels, written by Jill Kempner. And you can find Jill on Instagram, Jill Kempner, Angel Coach, all one word. Twitter, at Jill Kempner, Kempner. Thank you very much for coming on today. Do you have any wisdom that you can partake or disseminate to us that might help us get through this Friday the 13th?
So what I have to say about Friday the 13th is that it's a goddess day.
Wow.
So this is the day of the goddess because there are 13 moon cycles. So this actually, Friday the 13th had to do with the lunar cycle and the moon. So it's actually a day of connecting with the divine feminine, the intuitive, nurturing, unconditionally loving and compassionate side of all of us. So it's really a time of actually reflection and gratitude and nourishment, nourishing ourselves from the inside out, nourishing ourselves with, quiet, with breath, with stillness. And I'm actually, I'm being guided to just pull. Do we have time to just pull one card?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I feel like let's pull a card, right? So how is it that we are feeling, I feel like joyful, right? How is it that we're feeling joyful on this day of the goddess? Let's see what our angels are saying, the guardian angels. This is for everyone listening, everyone who's ever going to listen to this, everybody here. Let's see. I love this card. All right, strength and guidance.
Wow.
So this is about, and I love the universe inside of the heart, right? There's a universe in the heart. So it's about keeping our hearts open to the divine downloads, the divine downloads, to the intuition, to all the ways that we are supported, all the ways that we are loved, all the ways that we're held by a power greater than ourselves, and by this beautiful team of angels that we have around us. So what I feel is to feel the joy. Let yourself feel the strength of your team, the strength of the divine feminine, of the divine mother, of source energy, and let yourself be guided step by step. I also feel like this is about bringing in more strength, right? Being your strongest self and letting the joy that is your natural self come through. Let yourself be joyful, feel the strength and guidance. And I'm sure there's more, but that's a good ending.
Thank you very much.
And we are in a waxing gibbous right now. We checked earlier, so just what that means.
The full moon cycle begins on Sunday,
Good vibes.
peaks on Tuesday. So
There it goes. Jill Kepner practice draws on her belief that angels are loving, supportive beings that can provide comfort, guidance, and healing in everyday life. She offers private coaching sessions, group workshops, and online courses. Find more information on her Instagram, Jill Kepner Angel Coach, or JillKempnerHealing.com. Thank you very much again for being here with us. It has been such a blessing.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
There it is. A political talk show right here on WRMN will continue. We've got Drew Sosnowski coming in with us as well for Free Speech Friday. Don't change that dial. We'll be right back with more A Political Talk Show on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
River Valley, WRMN AM 1410 is shaking things up with a brand new weekday lineup that'll keep you informed, entertained, and engaged. I'm Marky B, WRMN Program Director and host of The First Shift, inviting you to start your day with The First Shift from 6 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. Larry Jones, Jakes, myself, and the entire First Shift team bring you the latest local news, entertainment, and, my favorite, more to kick off your morning. Then it's out to lunch with Matt McNeil from 10 until 1 p.m. Tune in for your midday fix of news, interviews, community happenings, and of course, the legendary WRMN Tradio Show. In the afternoon, join us for Fox Valley Afternoons from 2 until 6 p.m. Tammy and friends will chat lifestyle from 2 to 4, while Sonar and his crew dive into politics and news from 4 until 6. Plus, get to know the movers and shakers of the Fox River Valley with exclusive interviews, too. Don't miss out on our new local lineup that's tailor-made for you. WRMN AM 1410, the talk of the town. Tune in and turn it up.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department yesterday celebrating National Policewoman Day, paying tribute to the 46 women who are sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set down in the memory of K-9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K-9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. La Fiesta de Elgin getting underway today with the Elgin Market expansion at the Riverside Drive Promenade, starting from 3 to 7 p.m. The car meet will be at the City Hall parking lot at 100 Douglas Avenue from 5 to 8 p.m. And Grito and cultural performances at the Civic Center Plaza, 125 North Grove Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Located in the heart of Wisconsin Dells on beautiful Lake Delton, the Delton Oaks Resort offers a classic Wisconsin family vacation. It's an on-the-lake experience with available cabins, villas, and studio condos, all with home-style comforts and amenities, and extra space for family gatherings, reunions, and small groups. With a private sandy beach and dock, you can splash around, swim, and boat to your heart's content. There's a pontoon boat, kayak rentals, fire pit and barbecue grills are available for use for registered guests. Book your stay and enjoy all the ultimate Dells experience with bonus passes to Noah's Ark Water Park. From s'mores to oars, Delton Oaks Resort has something for everyone. Visit DeltonOaksResort.com. That's DeltonOaksResort.com.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Illinois football plays host to Central Michigan tomorrow. The 2-0 start, the best in head coach Brett Bielema's 4 seasons. Northwestern home tomorrow against Eastern Illinois. Both teams come in with 1-1 records. Off day for the Cubs on Thursday. Chicago's 5 games out of a wild card in the National League tonight. They begin a series at Colorado. 7-5, Javier Assad scheduled to start. The White Sox are off Thursday. They host Oakland tonight. 6-11, Garrett Crochet the starter. The Sox have 15 games to go and have 114 losses. The Major League record, 120, set by the 1962 Mets. The Bears visit Houston on Sunday. At practice Thursday, wide receivers Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen remained out. The Bears beat the Titans 24-17 to open the season. The Texans beat the Colts 29-27.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? with a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC.
The fresher, the better.
Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID-19.
Keeping your car's coolant system in good shape with a regular flush is really important. Let the experts at Meineke Car Care Center at 376 Sundown Road in South Elgin remove your old coolant, preventing chemical buildups in your engine. Then they'll fill your entire system with new coolant to help your engine run smoothly and prevent rust and corrosion, increasing your engine's lifespan. To schedule your appointment, call 847-888-9644.
Beef Villa's 3 locations offer much more than their signature Italian beef. Try the Italian sausage, roasted chicken, and more. There's a big variety of delicious side dishes. Beef Villa uses quality ingredients from homemade recipes, and they purchase top-of-the-quality food products from their vendors to bring you the absolute best tasting of foods. Beef Villa's great service and quality are waiting for you, but you won't be waiting long because it's always hot and fresh. Visit beefvilla.com.
Welcome back to a political talk show right here on WRMN AM and WRMN1410.com. You're listening to a political talk show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. Joining me today, as most of the time, is the executive producer extraordinaire, Bendemonium Boquest. Thank you for being with me here, sir.
Absolutely. Couldn't miss a Free Speech Friday.
Free Speech Friday, that's right. And joining us for Free Speech Friday is Kane County's very own Drew Sosnowski. Drew Sosnowski is a seasoned attorney with over 30 years of experience, currently running for Kane County State Attorney. A lifelong resident of Illinois, Sosnowski began his career as a prosecutor in Kane and McHenry counties in the 1990s, gaining recognition for his work on felony cases and later serving as chief of Kane County's Family Justice Division, where he focused on issues such as domestic violence and child abuse. In his current campaign, Sosnowski emphasizes a commitment to community safety, justice, and collaboration with law enforcement, schools, and nonprofits to create a safer Kane County. Drew, thank you very much for being here with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here. I call you Sonar.
Absolutely.
Sonar, pleasure to be here. Ben, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we normally bring candidates on Candidate Tuesday, but we wanted to invite you on Free Speech Friday because you have a very large academic background.
Yes, sir.
That's diversified in that side, but then also the experience that you've had as well, I think fits really well with us opening the phone lines and being able to field calls for you as a professor or an expert. So what I want to do is let's get the campaign side of things out of the way, and then that way we can have a conversation as intellectuals sitting at a table.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, where can we go to find? Well, first off, what are your main priorities if elected as Kane County State Attorney, and how do you plan to achieve them?
Can I first start by saying happy Mexican Independence Day?
Hey, absolutely.
This is going on right now in Elgin, our beautiful city here. In Espanol, it's Feliz Independence Mexicano. So
Fiesta de Elgin is going on just down the road over here.
It's beautiful. So happy to do that. So a little bit about myself. Is that what you want? So I have been practicing for 35 years, actually. It's just I was licensed to practice in 1989, so I've been around for a long time. And I've done a lot of things, as you said, prosecution being probably the diamond gem in that. Probably out of those 35 years, at least 20 almost on that, if you consider my time as the Deputy General Counsel for the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. So I prosecuted cases of child abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, dependency for DCFS.
And you've been on both sides, both representing plaintiffs and defendants as well. So you get both sides of that coin.
Yeah, and thank you for that question, Sonar, because that is, I think, really what's going to make me one of the best state's attorneys this county has seen. At one time, and I'm not sure the statistics on this, but I was one of the only prosecutors who was involved in a murder as a defense attorney and a murder as a prosecutor.
Wow.
A death penalty cases back in the day when the death penalty was still existing in Illinois. So I got one not to die, and we had one that was sentenced to death, but the sentence was commuted based on the moratorium.
Now, you talk about your commitment to community safety, justice, and a collaboration with law enforcement, schools, and nonprofits to create a safer Kane County. How do you see the workings of that, the communication style to bring all of those different entities into one, I guess, harmonious conversation?
Well, I think the very first step in that is to make sure the individuals, the communities, the organizations realize that you are really going to do this, that it's something you're interested in. You're not just a politician. Yeah, it's a trust. It's not just a politician going on saying, I'm promising, but to be in the community, to roll your sleeves up and to actually be a member of the community and to do things and let people see. I'm not a Johnny-come-lately when it comes to social service stuff. I've been the chairman of the mental health board here in Elgin, which deals with mental health issues long before I was a candidate. You know, I've been a professor at ECC for the last 23 years, dealing with criminal justice issues, criminal law from paralegal studies, as well as criminal studies for the criminal justice program. And I've been involved in a lot of community organizations, even starting something at my church for prison ministry, for praying for prisoners and visiting prisoners in jail. So there's a lot of the things I've already been doing. And having those connections and those real experiences will enrich this county to say that this is not just a guy that's going to talk about it. So it starts with communication, as you said, and bringing the people to the table that really want to be there. And some of them don't have voices. I'm very big into the African American community, the Latino community, the LGBTQ community, communities that sometimes are off on the side and don't have a voice. So let's bring them to the table and start working with them. And I think if you do that, and you start tapping in on those are a wealth of resources, a wealth of knowledge, and you can start building from the bottom up to the community.
Are some of those ministries that you're involved in, how do you use those to balance a tough on crime type of policy and hit that balance? Because everybody has those, well, they should have prosecuted this, or we should have done that. Because a lot of us here in just the media or just people reading the newspaper, we only get the facts out of the newspaper. We don't get the situation or anything like that. How do you balance the tough on crime type of, I guess, perspective that people want to have, but still have that more discerning type of judgment?
Well, that's a good question, and it's not an easy task. It's not an easy feat. But as the chief prosecutor, even when I was the chief prosecutor for family justice, there's a lot of discretion that goes in. That's a big word to use, and it's a word that means that you have a lot of options that are available to you as a prosecutor. So are you always going to kill an ant with a sledgehammer? No. Are you going to listen, to make decisions based on evidence and fact and situations? Absolutely. And I think that the wealth of experiences that I have in social service with children and families, my experience as a lawyer gives me the perspective that's needed to use that discernment and to use that to discern and to use that discretion in ways that will be positive for the community. So let me zero in on this. Do I believe in punishment? Absolutely. And I think what's happening in our state, in Illinois, is we're moving away from some of that. The criminal justice system I've seen in the last several years is turned on its head We need to be protective of individuals who are charged with crimes. We have the Constitution. They have constitutional protections, the right to be free to say things or to not say things. They have the right to counsel. There's all these things that exist in Rich. But somehow in the midst of things got a little bit off kilter. And we need to bring it back. Did we need to turn it all the way upside down? Maybe not. And that's where I come in. I say that that the main priority for me, Sonar, is community safety and protection of victims. We don't hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You don't hear victims anymore. That used to be a buzzword like take care of the victims. Now it's take care of the defendants. Now there needs to be watch on the defendants, but I'm going to bring back to Kane County that the victims' rights are number one. The victims' rights are number one. The Constitution protects the defendants, but what about the victims? The victims' rights sometimes get eroded. And when I see the new legislation...
Is that because they're not written out? Like nobody...
Well, there are statutes that do protect victims' rights.
Okay.
There's a whole code of victims' rights, but sometimes they play second natures, particularly when you have a defendant facing egregious charges. That becomes the pivotal point oftentimes, and the victim gets left behind. When I was a prosecutor, I always put victims number one, and I will do that as your next Kane County State's Attorney. You put victims number one, and I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of saying somebody needs to be punished.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that, because you still have to have a perception of things. Like it's back to in the Navy, we had strategic deterrence is what we called it. You put somebody out somewhere so that somebody doesn't do something bad. I guess it would be the same thing as punishing somebody with something to make sure that it doesn't more people aren't encouraged. Well, if that's all it is a fine, well, then I'll just keep doing it in that same vein. But the role of state's attorney goes a little bit beyond, or I guess actually beyond criminal prosecution. You're actually the legal advisor for the county officials as well. Is there any advice that you think that they may not be getting right now, or something that you intend to kind of put in their ears for things?
Well, first of all, I didn't realize you were a Navy guy, so thank you for your service to our country. It's amazing to sit with you, and so thank you for that. I think, number one, again, it's relationships, it's conversation. My campaign, Sonar, is all about everyone. I'm not a partisan guy. I'm not going to do things that are for the Democrats and not the Republicans. I'm a very independent-minded person. And I don't care if the county official is a Democrat or a Republican, they are going to be embraced and they are going to be protected within the bounds of law for anything that they do that's good, and to give them good advice. So I think it's relationships, it's building those relationships of trust, understanding that I was a person that was the general counsel of a national company that worked with FBI, CIA, Interpol, with a $6 to $7 million budget, that I'm not just a Johnny-come-lately, but that I have knowledge of civil matters. State's attorneys oftentimes don't have that civil experience. They come in there because they want to be felony prosecutors. They want to prosecute the murder cases. Those are the ones everybody's looking at. But the civil things get kind of tossed to the side, and oftentimes you don't get a prosecutor that's the elected official that understands civil law and civil nature. So I think the very first thing is that I have that experience and that knowledge to be able to recruit others that have that information, and to make sure your county officials trust you to be able to make those decisions. If they trust you, they will start looking at you more for advice. If you give good advice to your clients, they're coming back.
That's true. If you just because you were elected, because they actually pay you, right? They stop paying you in the civilian
So
side.
in my business, when I'm a private defense attorney, if I gave horrible advice, I wouldn't have any clients. So you have to make sure that they trust you, that you give a sage advice, that you're giving information that's actionable. And if they start knowing that, they're going to come back. So if they have another issue, they're going to come back. And that's how referrals go. You know how business works.
Yeah.
If they like it, they come back. So it's the same thing with county officials. As your next state's attorney, I will absolutely be lockstep with giving them advice that's going to help and protect the citizens of Kane County on a civil basis as well.
Is that feedback loop part of your commitment to community safety and the collaboration with everybody? Is you being that center linchpin for everyone? Because it's not just the council members that will be coming to you for legal advice. There are some organizations within the county that will be coming to you as well. And what is your cohesive message to all of those different entities and those priorities that you've got for them?
Well, first of all, the only people I could get actual legal advice would be county officials, because you're their attorney. So if private organizations would come to me, I would never give official legal advice, but I would
county officials coming to you from all the different departments.
Yes, from the health department to treasury to, assessor, auditor, the Kane County clerk. All of those individuals look to the state's attorney's office. And the state, what people don't realize, Sonar, and your listeners should know this, is people think the chief law enforcement officer is the sheriff. It's not really the sheriff. The sheriff represents non-cities, the portions of our county that are county areas, a lot of unincorporated areas. The sheriff is an elected official, but every single city in the Kane County, from Algonquin all the way down to Aurora, has individual police officers. The state's attorney, their job is to work with all of those entities and to be the arbiter for fact and knowledge with all of them. So it's a huge position, and I look at it as the chief law enforcement officer as well as the chief civil lawyer for the county.
Drew Sosnowski is a seasoned attorney with over 30 years of experience, currently running for Kane County State's Attorney. Sosnowski also has extensive experience in private practice, handling a wide range of legal matters, including personal injury, criminal defense, and family law. His time in private practice allowed him to represent both plaintiffs and defendants, which he believes gives him a unique perspective on the civil and criminal justice systems. So let's get a little bit into Kane County itself.
Sure.
There are some, obviously what's happening in the United States in general is a fiscal type of strain that we've got. Now, we hear all day the stock market's doing great, everything's moving from that end. Where do you see the fiscal management of Kane County helping kind of relieve some of those things that people are really complaining about? Like, yes, we can say, oh, my stocks went up for whatever, but it's not the $5 extra I need for the eggs that I bought today or anything like that. Do you see Kane County helping in that way, just as a general citizen of living in Kane County?
Yeah, I definitely think that the county has a responsibility to make sure, and it's levying tax. Are we going to put an extra tax on gas when everybody's suffering already? Are we going to put an extra sales tax in there? There's two parties basically in the country. One party likes to tax a lot and spend. Another party says, hey, let's back away. And spending can be overdone, and it's almost like if you build it, they will come. If you get a lot of money, they're going to spend it. And I'm the kind of guy that's fiscally responsible, so I look at like my opponent. When you look at the record, when my opponent got into office, the state's attorney's budget was about $5 million. Now it's over $10 million. It's like 10 or 12 million. So in the last 3.5 years, it's more than doubled. And then they'll say, well, the Safety Act came in, so there's a lot. And I heard from one of the county board members that there's like $3 million that they spend on the Safety Act. Well, I don't know where they're spending it. So when I get in there, I'm going to look very closely at the budget. And I have also experts that I have in my profession that I've used and that can help me do the right thing and peel it back to say, is there something that I can give back?
Yeah, is that what you're looking for?
My goal, yes, it's going to be looking at programs. And part of that is I don't want to sound like I have all the answers, because I don't. But what I do is have the knowledge that some programs work, we know that, and some programs don't work. And sometimes when you're a political leader, you want to say everything's working so that it continue to go on there. So I will have the ability to look at things that are working and not working And I don't have any qualms, Sonar, and you can tell your listeners, they can listen, to taking a red pen and giving money back if we're not using it. I have no qualms about that. Nobody says that as a politician.
Now, do you give that back as reducing taxes, or do you give that back as, hey, we had a surplus, so let's give you a check?
Well, you say we're not going to bill you because the county bills, you get your money from them and they pay the bills, and you just say at the end of the year, we're not using this, so the money goes back into the general fund and it can be redistributed. Now, I would have nothing to do with how it's redistributed, but I certainly would be an advocate for looking at some of the social service agencies and places that are in our communities that are really trying their hardest to do things for the homeless, for crime prevention, for neighborhood renewals, and say, what about the county looking at these things more than other things?
Are there certain laws that you are going to try to use for your first run through everything? So when you finally they open the books for you, do you have certain legislation that you're going to use as a magnifying glass and go, okay, this program or this thing right here isn't supported by this legislation, so that may be the reason that we remove it? Or is it only going to be because of the financial budget aspect of it?
Well, that's a very good question, and there's probably 2 or 3 in there, so let me try to peel it apart. So my mantra, and what I would do is, number 1 is the safety of our community and our victims. Okay. So any laws that would enhance my ability to protect, and I'm not, I sound so political, but this is really in my heart. I really believe that. Anything that protects our citizens, that really gives them an opportunity to be free and to walk in our communities unfettered by criminal activities or being slapped by things like homeless situations that people don't know how to deal with, I'm all for that. So any laws that would enhance my ability to keep our streets safe, I will do that. Any laws that exist, and I can't give you the citation like 720 ILCS 405.
And I wouldn't expect you to either.
But any laws that would also enhance my ability to be fiscally responsible and to be able to do things and make recommendations to our county officials, our county board, to do things for our community, I will use those laws to do that as well.
Okay. We are speaking with Drew Sosnowski right here on WRM in a political talk show. We've only got just a few more minutes. I just want to go a little bit into your background here as well. Your education includes a Juris Doctor from Drake University, a Master's in Science in Business Administration from Notre Dame. Sorry.
Oh, they had a bad game the other day. Oh my God.
It started off hot though.
Oh my God! And everybody's crucifying me for it. They're like, like, look at, especially living around here with NIU down the street. So.
And a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and a minor in philosophy. So we've got philosophy, political science, business administration, and of course the Juris Doctorate too. How is this education that has almost a cornucopia of ideas going to help you with your election?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm blessed to have those opportunities and that knowledge, and every single one of them comes with a great deal of work, and you know that as a professional yourself, and professionals that you have. But that smattering of different disciplines really does make you knowledgeable about what's going on in your community. I can't just pick up something and read it. I'm dissecting it, analyzing it from a legal perspective, from a business perspective, from a social science perspective. And I think that that's what you want in a state's attorney candidate. Somebody might be good, the candidate, but I promise you I'll be better. And how I can be better is by using those skills and those experiences that I had to really do this. I got to tell you, I'm going to be 64, okay? And people say, oh, you look good for 64.
Well, you do.
I like that. Well, I thank you for that. So that's probably why I say it, too. But very seriously, I'm not a young guy that's just looking for a job. I'm looking for to make a difference in our community. I have kids that grew up here in Elgin and Kane County. I have a granddaughter that goes to school right up the street. I have friends and families and rich communities that I want to make sure are protected. And why not go out in my last several days close to retirement, why not go out and say, hey, I'm going to give back to my community and serve, and use that rich experiences from philosophy to psychology to social justice and law and all that to really serve the people of Kane County.
Drew Sosnowski is a seasoned attorney with over 30 years of experience, currently running for Kane County State's attorney. When we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines and read some headlines here on Free Speech Friday, and we will put the education of Sosnowski to the test.
That's kind of scary.
I know, it's supposed to be ominous and cryptic. Yes. Here on Friday the 13th, WRMN, Apolitical Talk Show. We'll be right back.
Sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Elgin at this time. The Kane County Sheriff's Office set down in the memory of K9 Hudson with a dedicated memorial today. The ceremony, scheduled for 10 a.m. today at the Sheriff's Office, pays tribute to the valiant Dutch Shepherd who was fatally shot in a law enforcement operation in Geneva last year. K9 Hudson had been a crucial part of the Kane County team for nearly 3 years, primarily assisting with narcotics detection. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome back to a political talk show right here on WRMN 1410 AM and, of course, WRMN1410.com. Listen live right there. Click the button that says Listen Live, and it will go ahead and play for you. You will hear WRMN as soon as you do it, or go ahead and click on the YouTube link that's sitting there, and you will see WRMN as soon as you click on it as well. That's youtube.com/@WRMN Radio. Joining me, as always, is executive producer Ben Demonium Boquest. Thank you, sir, for putting on today's show. Yes. Really appreciate that. And, of course, our new friend, Drew Sosnowski, a seasoned attorney with over 30 years of experience, currently running for Kane County State Attorney. Thank you, sir, for being here with us.
Thank you, Sonar and Ben, for having me.
We brought you over on Free Speech Friday because of the, like we had talked about before we went to break, is the different academic skills and different, I guess, what do they call it? The I'm blanking on it right now. The where you have a specialty, it's not necessarily that, or all of the different ideas and different approaches to, I guess, education in general. You learn a different way from a philosophy standpoint than you do from a political science standpoint, from a different business standpoint, all the way up to as a lawyer. So all of those different layers come with slightly different ideals. How have you kind of congealed your values based off of those 3 or 4 different levels of education that you've had?
Well, thank you, number one, for recognizing that, because
disciplines.
Yeah, disciplines.
That's the word I
so
spent
thank you.
30 seconds trying to learn.
Yeah, that's it.
So, thank you.
Well,
Sorry.
when you don't have to talk, then it's easier to say it. But yeah, so thank you for recognizing that I have studied many different disciplines. And, the study is one thing. So, we've all been students. You can read your book and you read it. And, but what it ends up doing is opening up your mind to a lot of possibilities. So when I get into situations, even in community work or law work, all those things start working, and they start, and you start utilizing the knowledge that you have to make good decisions. And I think that I will pride myself in making good decisions, to make decisions that are going to be productive for people around me, to serve communities. And even, again, before I was state's attorney and a political candidate, which sometimes sounds like but before I was a political candidate, I was always using the skills I had to try to solve problems. And, having a business background and a law background and a social service background and an issues with philosophy background, it gives you that smattering to be able to really solve problems.
There you are. And speaking of some of those problems, don't forget that you can always jump in on the conversation and talk about anything that is on your mind here on Free Speech Friday. That is 847-931-1410, 847-931-1410. The first problem that we're going to talk about today is Boeing workers overwhelmingly reject the contract and prepare to strike. More than 30,000 Boeing workers rejected a new contract, leading to a strike authorization with 96% support from the International Association of Machinists. The proposed contract included a 25% raise on improvements in health care, but workers criticized it, seeking raises of 40%. A strike would halt production of most Boeing aircraft amid strong discontent over the contract terms. There are over 278 news sources for this. Please pick your favorite flavor. How do I know that? Well, Ground.News goes ahead and aggregates all of these for us so that we can pick our bias, which we like to choose center as possible every time that we've got. We did have a story about this earlier this week, Ben, where it was they essentially had agreed to it, is what we thought.
Yeah, you hear that so much.
Yeah, tentative agreement that's there. And that 25% raise was supposed to be across the 4-year span. I would imagine the 40% that they are asking for is across that same 4-year span.
Yep. Yeah. And it was, they cited not keeping up with the cost of living, which we talked about.
Well, not cost of living, what, from the 80s is what they're trying to get.
Since the last time they got one, yeah. Basically, that's the argument, is that it had been so long that the cost of living and the 25%, even though that's a large amount, technically to, I guess, 96% of the people in the union who voted, was not good enough.
Well, we've brought, of course, our resident lawyer extraordinaire right here, Drew Sosnowski. How binding is a tentative agreement with something like this?
It's non-binding.
Okay.
So there's still room for negotiation on it. So it's until the pen and the ink dries, it's still a possibility of negotiation. And as we see in our country, these things can sometimes get a life of their own, and they start expanding, and there's lots of things back and forth. Unions in general, you mentioned a machinist union. My father was a machinist. He was a blue-collar guy from the South Side, an immigrant's family I come from. And worked hard, and the unions protected his pay and wages, and probably helped me go to school and eat. So there's a lot of good things for unions and a lot of things. But what happens is sometimes there's greed, and it gets, you don't know where to stop. And the more you get, sometimes the more you want, and we have to temper this in some ways. So and I've been in union negotiations. And they can be aggressive on both sides. And when I'm negotiating, I'm an aggressive guy. And so it's kind of, sometimes you don't meet, and you got to sit down, roll up your sleeves, and find a way to solve the problem.
Do you think they're asking for the 40% because honestly they really want maybe 30? Is that a big negotiating tactic?
That definitely happens, and you know that for a fact. Anybody buy a car, you have your own price in your mind. You say, I want that car, and I know it's $25,000. You'll say, hey, give it to me for 20, and then they'll start 30. And so you sometimes come to the conclusion, and then you end up getting what you want. So a lot of that is gamesmanship, and people don't like that because it's a game. It really is. And it's a strategic game, and the people who are playing it are not just, playing marbles. These are big time folks, particularly when you have Boeing and that company that's a multi-billion dollar company. So they'll have some of the best lawyers, some of the best negotiators, and some of the best people doing that. So I wish them well. I hope it works out. I hate seeing, the one I hate, to be honest with you, I know it's a little off topic on that, but I hate seeing like strikes with teachers and students. I know you need to pay teachers, and my sister's a teacher. She teaches first grade, and and their wages sometimes are deplorable. But when you see some of that going on, particularly when you see it in Cook County, we don't have it out here like that, but you see these strikes lasting for long times and these kids not going to school, it gets a little bit difficult, and people see that, and we don't like that.
Well, can we talk about that difference for just a second? Because Boeing is a private company. So when the union comes to the private company, they're able to open the books and say, okay, here's our profit, here's our expenses, this is what we can pay you. As a government organization, the only income that you have is from the taxes, or randomly somebody might donate something to you in that same way. But there is no this is the direct income that we get from teachers. So there's no silo of going, okay, well, our education department brings in X amount of money. No, it's the county brings in X amount of money. How is that negotiation different? Because you're not fighting for profits. You're literally fighting for dollars that could go to a different department or organization. How is that different than negotiating on the private sector?
And it's hugely different. When you have a private sector, you have, again, like you said, you laid it out very well. You have known expenses and known things that need to be done, and you have bottom line numbers, and you can go forward on that. It's still, I'm not saying it's easy because it's a very difficult process.
No, the union, the way we put it here is you form a union so you have a seat at the table.
Absolutely.
You may not get all your wishes. A union isn't a genie. You just are guaranteeing that seat at the table.
Right. And then with the education, it's the advocates that are trying to make sure that teachers are funded and they're not going to leave. I mean, bottom line, when you have unions, you want to keep your employees happy. If the employees are not happy, the teachers leave, people leave, and next thing you know, you have a bigger problem than trying to pay extra money. So as far as that, they're looking at pots of money. They're negotiating even with government entities to make sure that they get their fair share of the pie. How much are they going to get for the unions? For the teachers, for education in general. So there's a lot of negotiations going on in that way as well.
Awesome. And that's where, I guess, honestly, with the government side of it, it's less about hard dollars and more about share of the pie, like you had said. It's more about percentages. What percentage can we tax and not put a burden on our citizens?
Yes.
What percentage can we give to this department without putting a burden on that department? It's not necessarily going out and saying, okay, $50,000 goes right here, here's the hard number. It's here's a dollar, how do we split that dollar? And with the negotiation aspect of it, what numbers does a union, whether it is a teachers union or maybe a firefighters union or something like that, what number do they normally shoot for? Obviously, they're not shooting for the 400 million that come into the county, but they've got to be looking at least shooting numbers.
They're going to look at, obviously, they're going to look at how many schools, how many businesses, how many teachers. It'll be statistical data to say how much they need, where is it going to go. I mean, they don't just go willy-nilly and say, we want this. There's a plan, and there's a determination of what that funds are going to go for. The other part of that is the community's involved, too. I mean, when you have taxpayers' money going somewhere, there's a lot more eyes on that than they might be on Boeing. It's a company for that. So there's a lot of give and take when it comes to that. But they'll come up with a plan. They'll have what they're going to use that money for. Not all of it goes to raises, not all of it does that, but sometimes there are things that enhance a teacher's ability to do their job. Maybe it's class size. So a lot of those things are going to be negotiated in that process.
Okay.
So it gets a lot more complicated. I'm making it sound like it's very easy, but it's a complicated process.
Oh, absolutely, because there's a lot more numbers than just here are our profits, here are our expenses, like it would be for a private entity for it. Hey, we've got another whale news that's coming in right here. Breaking whale news. Go ahead, Ben.
I'm here for this.
Yes. Okay. This is an article from Central Oregon Daily, and it's entitled "Humpback Whale Entangled in Lines Off British Columbia Has Been Rescued."
Hooray!
So, buddy. Acknowledge that. A humpback whale was found entangled within various lines off British Columbia, Canada. CBC Vancouver reported that a nearby crew was alerted of the trapped animal in Hecate Strait. The humpback whale was found with multiple lines, floats tangling its head and midsection. The crew spent several days rescuing the animal before it swam free. The crew thinks the animal got trapped by collecting gear and lines for weeks, months, and it eventually got trapped. So you see these cases happen very often. And actually recently, talking whale initiatives, one of the largest green whale charities, Save the Whales, they just shuttered their doors, saying that whale protections were kind of, or at least their organization wasn't doing exactly what they had intended for it to do. So you're kind of seeing this now, where you have these initiative-based organizations, like the one that worked for several days to free this whale. And it kind of reminds me of thinking of budgeting and redistributing to use funding in the right way. So that's kind of an environmental segue, if you would, into this. Good news. The whale is freed, and also, it's. I think when I read that article about Save the Whales, it kind of made me think that it seems like a better approach to be initiative driven in that way. Because so many times when these charities and stuff like that, after so long, they just don't allocate the funds correctly, or it's just they're kind of spinning their wheels. So something to think about, I think.
Yeah, a thing like environmental just protections in general fluctuate quite a bit. I mean, yes, we can all say, hey, we're going to put this amount of money towards the budget, but maybe there's a natural disaster. Maybe there isn't a natural disaster. And like you had said earlier, if there is a surplus in the budget, you're looking forward to giving that back to the people in however way that you could do it. Now, what if there is that natural disaster? Are you going to go to the funds for the state, the federal side, or back to the war chest that you've kind of started to put together? Where's your philosophy with that?
There's always going to be reserves. They call that reserve. So does the state's attorney's office themselves keep a reserve, or if there's a natural disaster or something that causes, even like the Safety Act, when that came into play, there's funding that's needed, you're going to have to go to the board and ask for the money like anybody else. The board is going to have to determine how they're going to spend that money. Whether or not they're going to give what you want, what you think you need, they might say, well, let's give it, and there'll be hearings on that to determine how that money is spent.
As the board's legal advisor, what would you suggest in that same kind, especially in a world of climate change? And we even talked with Beith Drendel from the emergency preparedness side today, because it's a emergency preparedness month for it. She says that we got a whole bunch more tornadoes here in just the state in general than we have in years past. Is that something that's kind of on your radar too about that?
Not a whole lot, but I mean, it's something that as any elected official, including the state's attorney, you have to be cognizant. Now, whether that's a kind of a can of worms, and you can go down a slide on this whole global warming thing. And, there's a lot of people have different positions on that. And I'm not about to give a position because I don't read a lot about it. Yeah. But how it would affect perhaps the state's attorney's office is if there's a natural disaster that causes people to become out of control, and there's crime on the streets, and people are doing things that are reacting to something that is very difficult, then I would get involved in that. And you don't plan for that. It's not something you're going to put in your budget to say just in case, because county budgets are fluid. You don't want to be holding people's money back that you tax. It's a revenue base. You're going to just spend, and you're going to use what you got. You're not saving up a reserve like we would in a business that would be a private business. So you look at that, what happens. If it was something that they would know about, they might do a referendum to say, we're going to spend so much money, and they're going to go to the taxpayers and say, this is what we're going to do. So it's not as easy as that, but I would say, as a state's attorney, I would think that any natural disaster or even non-natural disaster, like somebody protesting or breaking windows, we see these in the community. What are you going to do with these things? We have to have the ability to prosecute and to hold people accountable for that behavior. So whatever I would need, I would go to the board and say, we need funding, and I know the community would want that. There's some things that the community doesn't want and they pay for, but I know safety would be one that would be primary.
We're speaking with Drew Sosnowski, a seasoned attorney with over 30 years of experience, currently running for Kane County State's Attorney. You can find more information about Drew at Twitter, Sosnowski for Kane. That's SOSNOWSKI for Kane, or SosnowskiForKane.com. Beside the obvious that you are an attorney for 35 years, why state's attorney? Why not? There are plenty of lawyers that go into statewide or go into representation versus going into more of like a yeoman's type of work, is really what the state's attorney kind of seems like.
Well, thank goodness with all the opportunities with things that I've experienced, I can do other things. But why did I select this? Well, I mean, look outside. I mean, we're right downtown Elgin here. what an absolutely beautiful county we live in. We live in a great county. I've gone from north to south, east to west. I've gone to Algonquin to Aurora. I've gone out way out in the hinterlands of Kane County with the western townships, all the way to St. Charles, Geneva, Batavia, Elgin. And I talk to people and I see them, and I also at the same time get to see the beauty of our county. And I saw that beforehand, and I love Kane County. I love the citizens of Kane County. I love that. And I'll tell you a story. This is what got me involved in this. First of all, my students at Aurora University said to me, hey, we think you'd be a great state's attorney. And a lot of these kids want to be law enforcement officers, and many of them are still on my campaign to today. They're helping me out. They're not students that are working for a grade. They're not working for money. They just believe in this message. And they said, Professor, we need to do it. I said, well, then you put me on the ballot, and they helped put me on the ballot, which is an amazing thing. But while they were doing this, I went, truth be told, this is a little bit of a personal story. I went to my father's grave. We all visit sometimes our parents' grave. My father's still buried in my boyhood home. It's Calumet City, Illinois. And he's buried at Holy Cross Cemetery. And, you go there sometimes for tranquility. It's a very peaceful setting, a cemetery. He's buried under the ground. He is not in a mausoleum. And I go out there sometimes just to talk. And you're communing with your dad and nature and everything else. So when I got this, I went out to my father's grave and I said, Dad, is this something I should do? You're watching, me. Is this something I should do? And I waited to hear a voice, and I heard nothing. So I said, okay, well, that's what am I going to hear? So I walked outside the cemetery, true story, and I almost got mugged. I was attacked by my car.
Oh, wow. And
I called the police. The person left, and the police officer came out and said something to the effect like, well, it's probably somebody homeless. We're not going to go after it. We're not going to do a report. It's, just things happen. And, are you hurt? Are you injured? And it was gone. And they said, and I said, I'm a lawyer. I said, this is crazy that this is happening. He says, well, then as a lawyer that if we arrest the person, they're probably going to get released and nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be and the person's going to be right back out there again. So I started thinking that's the Safety Act. This is something where we have people that are caught and released, and it's a situation that happened to me. So I'm like, this is my dad maybe talking to me.
There's your answer, yeah.
My answer. So I walked down. I didn't walk down. I took my car and I drove to my house, and across the street where I grew up, there was a Dairy Queen. It's boarded up.
Oh.
Another answer. There's a 7-Eleven. It's changed, and there's graffiti on the building. So I'm like, what's going on? I went down to my church. I said, okay, I'm going to go say a little prayer at my church. The church is padlocked. True story. You can look all this up. And I looked next to it where I went to school. The building's torn down. The neighborhood's in disrepair. So I got my statement from my father. He said, don't let what happened in Cook County come to Kane County. And there could be a very small difference in that. And sometimes it's using the discretion to punish and to be able to say, I'm going to do this. So next thing you know, I'm a candidate for Kane County State's Attorney. And I will bring that spirit to here to protect our county from what's happening around us in collar areas.
Thank you for being on WRMN today with us. We really appreciate you jumping on Apolitical Talk Show, Free Speech Friday. Drew Sosnowski is a seasoned attorney with over 30 years of experience currently running for Kane County's state's attorney. A lifelong resident of Illinois, Sosnowski began his career as a prosecutor in Kane and McHenry counties in the 1990s, gaining recognition for his work on felony cases and later serving as chief of Kane County's Family Justice Division. Drew Sosnowski can be found at Sosnowski for Kane, SOSNOWSKIFORKANE. You've been listening to A Political Talk Show right here on WRMN. We will see you next week.
Thank you.